4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Coming up 40 minutes from now, one of the best defensive players in the country for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Xavier Watts, who had a pick six, 100-yard pick six. He is going to join us coming up at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time today. And then Ryan Hot Take Hickey will be in his weekly spot in studio at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, my God. The reason I'm laughing is because each and every week I send out, each and every day for the show, this is how, I'll tell you how the sauce is made here. I send a rundown to Samter and Stu on what I want to talk about. And then I ask for input on how we can make it better. So I walk in, I see Samter, I say Stu, I go, all right, input, let's go. And we tinker with the rundown. But I don't actually look at the rundown before I sit down, even though I know what the final order is. And every week, Samter has me cracking up because he puts something next to Hickey in terms of like a title underneath. So some weeks it's been like Ryan Hickey, Hawk Tua hater. Ryan Hickey, Penn State sycophant. This week, you're going to get me in trouble here, Mike. And I didn't even want to talk about this person today or maybe ever again. But next to Ryan Hickey's name, it says, at least he's better than Shep. And Shep is in the building today, I did see. I walked right past Shep, said, hey, how you doing? And then that was about it. So Ryan Hickey, at least he's better than Shep, is what Samter did. See, now I'm going to get in trouble here because he listens. Then he's going to text me. I was just looking and laughing. And once I look and laugh, I can't pivot into not telling the listening audience about what I'm laughing about. So shame on you two. Shame on you, Samter, for putting it down. And shame on you, Stu, for not having some checks and balances and not erasing it from the system. So away we go. All righty. Let's get to the biggest joke right now in college football. And you know what? I love Elijah Stewart, EJ from Maggie and Perloff. The show's really just turned into ZG, let's rip everyone else apart on the network. It really has. But EJ is a friend, right? When he first got here, he was working on this show a little bit in a part-time capacity. When we go out on like the road to the Super Bowl for Radio Row, EJ and I, we actually went out to this wonderful restaurant in Las Vegas. You know, twice. We had 2 meals together. So I'm a big fan of Elijah Stewart. I also know he's a Miami Hurricane honk. But let me just give a little perspective here. It's amazing to me how fired up the Miami fan is today. Can I just give you a little dose of reality? Anyone in their sane, unbiased mind, which is me. I'm maybe insane, but I'm unbiased here because I gave you the 12 teams that were going to make the college football playoff last night in the exact order. I had Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State all receiving byes. I had Penn State as the 5 going up against Arizona State the 12. I had Notre Dame the 6 going up against Alabama the 11. Georgia the 7 going up against Indiana 10. And Ohio State 8 going up against Tennessee 9. 12 for 12. How do you like me now? But I never even considered in a second. We spent nearly 3 hours yesterday talking about the college football playoff rankings. Maybe we did like 2 segments out of the show that were NFL related. But outside of that, it was college football this, college football that. We never even uttered for a second Miami getting into this bracket. So the Miami fan today that's going to be saying, why even play the games? What does the win-loss record matter? Probably the same Miami fans that were laughing at the Florida State fans last year when they were undefeated and got screwed out of the playoff because Jordan Travis got hurt, you know, with how that rivalry runs deep. Those Miami fans today are saying we should be in over Alabama. And I know you could say, oh, Alabama lost to Oklahoma. Indefensible. You could say Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, even though Diego Pavia and Clark Lee are having a good season. Indefensible. But when I look at the resumes and I look at the conferences, the SEC is a better conference than the ACC. Period. Stop. That's number one. So a 3-loss regular, here's the big key word, regular season, a 3-loss regular season team in the SEC, I would give the edge to a 2-loss regular season ACC team. Period. Stop. Also, you look at the best win Alabama had this year. Who is it? Georgia. What's the best win Miami's had this year? Louisville? So to kind of give this argument and play into it today that Miami got screwed is some of the biggest bull junk I've ever heard. And here's the harsh truth. I don't care where they ranked Miami last night. Once Miami blew a 21-point lead to Syracuse, they were up 21-0 in the game. I picked Syracuse plus 11, and I picked Syracuse outright on the money line. When Miami was up 21-0, I didn't think Syracuse was coming on back, even though I picked them to win the game. But if you wanted to have a legitimate leg to stand on and why you should have made the college football playoff, well, you controlled your own destiny, and you blew it. So in an ambiguous format, in criteria that we still don't know, I don't get why the Miami fan is shocked today that they preferred a 3-loss regular season SEC team over a 2-loss regular season ACC team. And let's be real. The committee gave you sympathy points last night because all we did yesterday was talk about how they were going to rank South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama because if a 4th SEC team does get in, whoever was the highest ranked team out of that, it was going to tip the hand on who was going to get in. So when you have South Carolina at 14, Ole Miss at 13, and then they said Miami at 12, and I'm like, oh, Miami, 2 losses, okay, that's fine. But they were never seriously under consideration for that final spot or for the 11th seed in this because you had Arizona State with the way the structure goes right now be the 12th seed with it being projected. And I can tell you this, Miami fans that are like, oh, they just put in Alabama over us. It's bias, Alabama and all that stuff. If Alabama would have lost to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, you don't think they're putting Ole Miss or South Carolina in over you? Absolutely they are. And when you look at the strength of schedule, Alabama against Miami, it favors Alabama. And I know we could all focus on the losses. And one of the Alabama losses, because everyone's ready to bring up Oklahoma and everyone's ready to bring up Vanderbilt, they lost to Tennessee. It's like you look at Miami, their 2 losses. Georgia Tech's a fine football team, but they're not like the greatest team in the land. And you lost to Syracuse, who outside of me, no one was talking about Fran Brown and Kyle McCord before the season started. So it's not apples to apples. And once again, if Miami had this big signature victory with 2 losses in the regular season, it would be different, maybe, the conversation. But Alabama's victory and their best victory is up against Georgia. So let's stop this nonsense. And Alabama also beat South Carolina. Like, you could argue Alabama, bare minimum, has 2 better victories than Miami's best victory. So this idea that today we need to sit here and talk about how it's rubbish, this system, and it's trash, and Miami got screwed, it's a giant waste of time, in my opinion. We're talking about these seeds in a 12-team playoff where it's all these teams have stumbled. Alabama has stumbled at times this year. Ole Miss has stumbled at times this year. South Carolina, Miami has. All these teams have fallen. You had the opportunity, even after you've fallen, to get back up and clearly make it obvious that you should be in the college football playoff. And when you leave it open and when you continue to stumble, yes, I'm not shocked that the committee said a 3-loss SEC team is better than a 2-loss regular season ACC team. Now, let me be abundantly clear. I will be irate And this kind of shows you, it's funny to me, we're sitting here and we're talking about Alabama and Miami today. If Clemson wins the ACC championship game, then this conversation about Miami and Alabama today on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and heading into Sunday is all out the window and is a waste of time. Because if I was running the committee, and quite frankly, they should let me, I usually would not say this. Like, I'm not a talk show host that says, oh, I could coach the Chicago Bears. Well, maybe I could after what happened on Thanksgiving. Or I could play quarterback, for Michigan. Or I could play quarterback for the Patriots. Like, I'm not usually one of those talk show hosts that is so in love with myself that I think that the guys that have given their entire life to football, I know more about and I could do their job. But I've sat here every ranking for the College Football Playoff Committee, and I have either nailed it every week or have been a swap away from getting it right. I really think that they should make, like myself and Perloff's friend who works on the Dan Patrick Show, Paul Pasps. I like his college football opinions too, and we've talked about this before. They should make the two of us, and we'll work for a whole lot less money than whatever you're paying everybody now. All right, make us the commissioners of the College Football Playoff and have us come up with these 12-team rankings. I know they got it right last night, but we'd at least be more transparent probably with the media and have better explanations than whatever Ward Manuel was doing when he was sitting in front on that show last night. Didn't understand any of Reese Davis's questions, for crying out loud. But the only thing that I think you could be mad about at this point is if SMU loses in the ACC championship game to Clemson and they don't get in. But last night they showed us the hand on what would happen if Clemson loses to SMU. If Clemson loses to SMU, Alabama's getting in. All right? That's just the bottom line. And if you have a problem with it, and I know you could say, oh, well, Miami, 2 losses, Alabama, 3 losses. Well, don't lose to Syracuse. And if you're Lane Kiffin today freaking out, don't lose at the Swamp to Florida. If you're South Carolina, hey, they got hot at the end of the year, but you lost to Ole Miss and you lost to Alabama. So it's an open format. It's never going to be an exact science. But quite frankly, whoever the last or second to last team in is, I don't think we should sit here and be irate because you can't say it's unfair. In a 4-team format, maybe you could have said it was unfair. But they've expanded to 12 teams. If you gave the committee enough reason to question your resume to not put you into 12 teams, you didn't take care of business when you controlled your own destiny. And there's been teams this year that have controlled their own destiny, lost it, then been able to control it again, and then lost it again. Once you've lost it twice, I'm not going to sit here and play my small violin for Miami. I'm not. Mario Cristobal, coach better. Have a defense that actually shows up and don't blow a 21-0 lead. And if Miami got in and Alabama was bitching, I would have said Alabama, I don't want to hear it. Same for South Carolina, same for Ole Miss. Like a few years ago, when Nick Saban was on ESPN in the 4-team format, they lost 2 games. And he's sitting there and he's saying, hey, if we were to go up against whoever the 4th team was, we'd be the favorite? Okay, sure. You're also the favorite when you lost games that year. So once you lose more than a time, like one time, you leave it open. And to pretend that a 2-loss Miami team is, just because they only had 2 losses, is significantly better and should easily get in over a 3-loss Alabama team, they're completely different schedules. So it's amazing to me how much bitching and complaining there has been for Miami not getting in from last night's ranking, when in reality, I don't care that they were put in at 12th. They were never seriously under consideration to make the bracket once they lost to Syracuse and weren't in the ACC title game. At max, only 2 ACC teams are going to get in. At max. And if the committee sees Clemson beat SMU and then still decides to put Alabama in, that's when you could have a fair conversation. Because I don't think SMU, who only had 1 regular season loss, should be penalized for losing their conference championship game. I don't think they should be. So that's the way that it's going to shake on out. And that's the biggest thing to look forward to is, okay, Boise State, do you win? If you win, you're in. If not, then you will see UNLV get in. Maybe then you could see the winner of the Big 12 bump up to that 4 spot, and then UNLV would be the 12th seed. That's a possibility. That's still on the table. You have some other seedings, but there's some teams that that are intact, definitely getting in. Oregon's definitely in. Texas definitely in. Penn State's definitely in. Notre Dame's definitely in. Georgia's definitely in. Ohio State's definitely in. Tennessee's definitely in. Indiana is definitely in. So the teams that are definitely in. I would like to say SMU is definitely in. I think they should be either way. But am I going to sit here with 100% certainty and SMU is at 8 and say that the committee won't screw them over for the SEC? I'm not going to say that. I don't think it should happen, but I'm not going to say it's 100%. So this conversation in the big landscape of college football right now is really focused on Alabama. They have been proven to be that team that was on the outside, now allowed in. How do they get kicked out? And the way that they get kicked out, in my opinion, is if Clemson wins, and I still think you put SMU in. But if you're an Alabama fan, you root for SMU this weekend, then Clemson's out, and you'll make the college football playoff. All righty, Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. Do you think Miami got screwed last night? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. And the question on the poll question that we have today at Zach Gelb at INS Sportsnet, should a 9-3 SEC Alabama be ranked in front of 10-2 ACC Miami? 42.8% say yes. Wow, 57.2% say no. So people think Miami got screwed over. I think you're crazy. I don't think anyone got screwed over here. Don't lose to Syracuse. And if they would have put Miami in front of Alabama, I would have been fine with it. But it's not like you could sit there and say, oh, they got a raw deal and they got an unfair shake out of this. Could Urban Meyer be going back to Ohio State? We'll discuss next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You know, I love the people that talk about Miami sitting there with 2 losses as if it's the reason why they should definitely be in over Alabama, who has 3 losses. And they think it's apples to apples. So I love our YouTube chat. But when you disagree with someone, it can get a little contentious down in the YouTube chat. So B. Lee in the YouTube chat says, Gelb, do you even understand college football and how things work? You are just as pathetic as the college football playoff committee. It's all about wins and losses. So, Bealey, this is what I'll ask you. Because clearly you're upset that Miami isn't in when they have 2 losses and Alabama is when they have 3 losses. So I expect you to have the same energy then for, let's say, Boise State. If Boise State loses to, let's say, UNLV, and that's their second loss of the season, well, they have more losses or fewer losses than Alabama, so they should get in, right? Because all the schedules are equal. All schedules are created equal. The idea that people can't understand that the SEC is an extremely tougher conference than the ACC is mind-boggling to me. It doesn't mean that SEC teams can't lose to ACC teams. Heck, we saw Florida get smacked by Miami this year. We also just saw Georgia Tech put up a heck of a fight up against Georgia in a game that, quite frankly, they should have won. But with that being said, when Miami, their best win is Louisville, and Alabama's best win is Georgia, and then I could say Alabama's second best win, South Carolina, is better than Miami's first win, their best win, then yeah. I could say a 3-loss Alabama team that has a significantly tougher strength of schedule should get in over Miami. It's not that tough to comprehend. It doesn't wipe away that Alabama was pathetic up against Oklahoma and they were pathetic up against Vanderbilt. But let's not act like all these schedules are the same and that the ACC got screwed here. And you kind of knew this going in, that in most years the ACC was only going to get 1 team and all hell would have to break loose for them to get 2 teams. So the SEC and the Big Ten run college football right now. They're also the 2 premier conferences in college football. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that a 2-loss Miami team is getting screwed out of a 12-team format because they let big bad Alabama in because they had 3 losses. And yes, for you to say, oh, do you even understand how college football works? Well, not to toot my own horn, I am a Heisman Trophy voter. I probably talk to more people in college football on a daily basis than you ever have in your life, if we're just being honest. Okay? Like, it's just the truth of the situation. And I know, right, because I'm an East Coast guy, people go, oh, well, he doesn't really know. There's a lot of dumb people from the East Coast that talk about college football. Not me. I've watched college football for a long time. I have covered conferences that you probably have never even heard of. All right? So I'm not just talking about the big dogs. All righty? And I watch them as well. And I love college football. Quite frankly, college football is my favorite sport on the planet. Right now, it's better than the NFL. It's better than hockey. It's better than basketball. It's better than baseball. So let's not act just because you have a disagreement, in my opinion, which you're entitled to, that all of a sudden that I don't know college football. But this idea that Miami got screwed is some of the biggest hogwash bull junk that I've ever heard. You could have put Alabama in. You could have put Miami in. You could have put Ole Miss in. You could have put South Carolina in. No one would have got screwed. All four of those teams had flaws. All four of those teams had warts. And they controlled their own destiny, and then they lost it. And they kept it open. But this idea that it's inconceivable that a 3-loss Alabama team gets in over a 2-loss Miami team, and we think they're playing the same schedule, give me a break. Once again, Alabama beat Georgia. Alabama beat South Carolina. Miami's best win is Louisville. So yes, Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. Alabama lost to Oklahoma. Terrible. But let's not act like all the wins that Miami has are equal to the wins that Alabama has. No one got screwed here. Everyone has been stubbing their toe this year, have been falling down in college football. In a 4-team format, you could get screwed. In a 12-team format, there's no argument. If you can't make a 12-team format and solidify your spot and you leave it open to the committee to maybe keep you out, it means you weren't good enough. It means you clearly weren't good enough. So stop this nonsense, because that's what it is. It's nonsense. And you know it, and I know it, that Miami, after they blew a 21-0 lead to Syracuse, had no chance of getting in. So I don't care if the committee goes, oh, we'll pat you on the head and we'll put you right after Alabama. Once again, if Alabama would have lost to Auburn, Ole Miss would have got in. Or you would have had South Carolina in before the committee would have put Miami in. That was crazy last night when they're going through, oh, we'll put South Carolina, we'll put Ole Miss. Oh, yeah, then we'll throw Miami in there. That was sympathy. Just stop with this nonsense. It's crazy. There's a lot of dumb things we talk about. If you would have told me the lead of the show yesterday would have been the conversation of Miami getting screwed and Alabama getting in, I would say screwed. Miami wasn't making the playoff. They were making the playoff up until they lost to Syracuse, but that went right out the window. So stop. We're looking at Miami now as if they got embarrassed here and they have something to hold on to tangibly and say, oh, that we should have sympathy for them. This isn't Florida State of a year ago. It's not even close. It's absolutely positively ridiculous how much conversation there's been about Miami since the rankings came out last night. So for you to say, oh, Zach, do you even watch the games? Oh, Zach, do you even cover college? Do you guys even do so? Because I was the talk show host that got all 12 teams right last night and the matchups right. And Miami wasn't even under consideration once they lost to Syracuse. And I know that sounds in a negative way. I love Syracuse. All right, in terms of Fran Brown. You know, the media department a little snobby, if I'm being honest. And I wasn't a big fan of Jim Boeheim. But Elijah Robinson, a heck of a coach in that coaching staff. Fran Brown, I knew him when he was at Temple. But it's simple. The SEC is better than the ACC. So even if Miami would have got ahead of Alabama last night, we're sitting here and we're talking about a chance that Clemson beats SMU in the title game, and both those teams should still go over Miami. So we're wasting time talking about all four of those teams who, quite frankly, didn't do enough. And last night, one had to go. We'll see if Clemson could take care of business. If not, then Alabama's going to get in, and SMU obviously will win their conference. but how much conversation there has been as if there has been legitimate of a screw job here, like a Montreal screw job here over Miami not getting it over Alabama. Oh, please. Give me a break. It was laughable last night. I was Booger McFarland, who I like. You know, I didn't love him when he was on Monday Night Football, to be clear, but I think he's good in the studio shows. Anytime he's on, how he's saying the wins and losses don't matter. They're not playing the same schedule. Because Booger, I could easily say, well, what are the best wins for Miami? What are the best wins for Alabama? Georgia and South Carolina? Nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. All righty, we'll take a timeout. I will get to what I wanted to talk about with Urban Meyer potentially returning to Ohio State later on in the extravaganza. But Xavier Watts, the Notre Dame safety, who won the Nagurski Award last year, I think is the preeminent defensive player in the country. Notre Dame is going to have a home playoff game. We'll see who their opponent's going to be coming up on Sunday, but he'll join us on the other side. Update time first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Micah Hyde is back in Buffalo for an 8th season after the veteran safety was signed to the Bills' practice squad. He was a free agent after last year and hadn't signed with anyone. Bengals kicker Evan McPherson will miss several weeks with a groin injury, so Cade York has been signed. And the Ravens have suspended receiver Deontay Johnson for a game for conduct detrimental to the team after he refused to enter Sunday's game against the Eagles. Cade McNamara hit the transfer portal and is hoping to play a 7th season of college football. The former Iowa quarterback suffered a torn ACL in 2022 and is hoping the NCAA grants him a waiver to continue playing. It's early, but there are 17 teams in Division I college basketball that are unbeaten, headed by Kansas. The Jayhawks get their first big road test tonight. They are on the road to face Creighton in Omaha. Auburn also gets another big challenge, facing Duke after the Tigers rolled through Maui and are now 7-0 on the young season. In the NBA, the Bucks look to make it 8 straight and will host the Hawks after handling Detroit last night, while the Pistons are back in action to take on the Celtics in Boston. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Alrighty, rocking and rolling. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. How about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? They finish off their regular season on a 10-game win streak after taking care of business up against USC. The Fighting Irish are now 11-1, and they'll wait to see where they're going to be going for the college football playoff. Last night projected as the 6th seed going up against Alabama as an 11th seed, but we'll get the final results on that coming up on Sunday. Now joining us on the show is one of, if not the best, defensive players in the country, and that, of course, is Xavier Watts. Xavier, appreciate the time. Congrats on your success this year, and thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So last week was so cool because towards the end of the game, Christian Gray had that 99-yard pick six, then USC gets the ball back, and then you take it 100 yards to the house as well. Just how about that sequence where you guys were able to get those 2 pick sixes?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. Like you said, just getting 2 back-to-back pick sixes. You don't really see that often. I mean, you see back-to-back interceptions, but you don't really see back-to-back, pick sixes. So it's pretty cool. And, it's just a good way to end the game, especially against a rival. Last regular season game of the year. So it was a really cool moment.
When I was watching back the interception, I slowed it down, and it was clear you were going to get to the end zone probably at about the 40-yard line, and you started to say some things to the USC sideline. What were you saying? Can you share that?
I really didn't say anything. I was just looking at him. When I was running down, I made eye contact with somebody. I don't know. And then once I locked in eyes with him, I just looked back again and just looked over at people. So I didn't say anything. I was just looking at people.
It's such a dominant moment, though, and it's such a powerful image because you're scoring and you're still able to run at the speed that you were doing and look at that sideline. That was pretty neat.
No, yeah, for sure. My body just took over. Sometimes when I'm out there in the field, I just get really locked in a moment and just some things just happen. So it was one of those things just kind of just happened.
talking to Xavier Watts right now. Do you feel like you're the best defensive player in the country, and if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, I have the utmost confidence in myself as a player. I definitely feel that way. Anytime I step on the field, I'm going to give, my all. I'm going to, make plays wherever I'm at. I'm always around the ball. I'm going to make some plays somewhere, somehow. But I definitely feel, strongly about my abilities on the defense side of the ball. Like I said, I feel like I'm just always making plays. I'm always around the ball. So for sure.
For your individual season this year, separating the team aspect, last year we know you were a unanimous All-American. You won the Bronco Nagurski award as well. How do you kind of look at the things that you feel as if you got better at when you look back at the 12 games you played in this year?
Yeah, I'm never really looking for statistical things. Those things kind of just happen, all those things happen because, my preparation throughout the week, my preparation through even back in January, all those things just pay off now. So, I mean, I just feel like, in terms of me, how I feel getting better is, just looking at myself, evaluating myself, and I look myself in the mirror and kind of when I'm watching film on myself, getting up in the morning, like I said, looking at myself in the mirror, be like, all right, did I get better yesterday? Practicing every day, kind of just looking at those type of things. I had specific things I wanted to get better at this year, being more vocal, getting better at man coverage, just having a lot more confidence on the field. Feel like that's what I'm playing with. I'm having a lot more confidence just out there, just, not stressing about anything. So in terms of those things, I feel like I definitely have improved them this year.
When you look in the mirror, what type of player do you see? Just wondering these days.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what I said 2 questions ago when you asked me, just a guy who's always going to be out there and make plays. I mean, like I said, I'm going to fly around regardless of what happened. I'm always going to be around the ball. The ball is always going to find its way to me. And a credit of that is to, me obviously doing my job and, being disciplined in what the call is, what the coaches are calling. Like I said, just that preparation all week of just practice and, just leading up to the game. And then, of course, my teammates, there's no way I would be able to, be making these plays and do anything I've been doing last season, this season without my teammates doing their job. So I'm always going to give credits to, my teammates for what they do because it allows me to do what I need to do.
Now, I know you said that you're not focused on the individual accolades and the awards, but when you won the Nagurski Award last year and you've had a kick-ass season this year, to not be a finalist, does that create a little extra chip on your shoulder this year? You feel like you got disrespected this go-around?
It's definitely something. I mean, I don't really try to pay too much attention to it. Last year when I won the Nagurski, obviously it was somewhat out of the air because I wasn't like the things like the preseason watch list, things like that. Like
Sure.
Coming into season, I wasn't like on anybody's radar seriously. So last year, obviously, it was exciting to win that, and then like obviously this year, it's something that's kind of on your mind because I mean I won the award, so you're obviously going to think about it. So you obviously start thinking about other awards as well. But I mean, I've seen the stuff. I wasn't, a finalist for some of those things. And I mean, it is what it is. I can't control it. I don't know what the criteria is or what they're looking for or what happened. But I mean, I can't do anything about it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still going to, do what I need to do, play my best football. And the focus right now is just win the national championship, is the playoffs. I mean, that's greater than any individual achievement I can ever. And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
I'll say it for you. I was shocked. All right. I was absolutely shocked. Xavier Watts here with us. So we all know earlier in the season, after that A&M victory, you guys lost to NIU, and then everyone was out on Notre Dame. You guys haven't lost the game since. Why did that loss up against NIU not break this team and still allow you guys to dig deeper and find the better version of this program and of this team?
Yeah, that loss was definitely a blessing in disguise. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose games, but I mean, just losing that game kind of just woke up the entire program. I mean, it really shook everything up. I mean, like you said, just ever since that loss, we've won every game. So I mean, it was more urgency in the building. offense, defense, special teams, everybody, the coaching staff, the support staff, is just more urgency. So that kind of just taught us that just like, if we don't prepare the right way, if we don't, take things as, serious, I mean, we can get beat by anybody. So, I mean, kind of that game really just taught us so many different lessons that we've kind of, built on each game, and kind of just had a reminder for ourselves that, like, if we don't do what we need to do, we're not going to be happy with the results. So.
And we know the way the defense is playing right now. We talked about the 2 pick sixes, but then on the offense side of the ball, Riley Leonard has really improved. You got a nice 1-2 punch at the running back position. Just how about the other side of the ball and what you've been seeing out of them with the growth that they've made throughout the season?
Yeah, it's been awesome to see the growth. I mean, I love seeing, the beginning of the year, the beginning product of everything, offense and defense, specifically the offense, like you asked, just seeing, how much they've grown each game has just been really awesome to see, especially like you said, Riley getting a lot more comfortable back there. And then, we have the best running backs in the country, JD and J Love. There's nobody better than them. So, I mean, it's just awesome to see. Our receivers are awesome. Tight ends are awesome. O-lines are awesome. So, like you said, just seeing them improve each week has been really good to see.
And we know you guys are going to have a home playoff game, so that's going to be pretty damn cool. Have you envisioned or thought what that atmosphere is going to look like at South Bend when you guys have a home playoff game?
Yeah, it's gonna be rocking. I mean, our stadium is pretty crazy, without home playoff game. We have the best fans in the country. Like, our player walks are awesome. So many people come out for those, and I just know the campus is gonna be it's gonna be a crazy feeling. I just can't wait for it, and it's gonna be awesome. Hopefully have some towels going, and the fans throwing up the towels during the game, so it's gonna be awesome.
You know that sometimes people try to limit you guys. There's always been talks, like really the last decade, about Notre Dame. They're really good, but they're not a team that could win a national championship. People that are still doubting this team and saying you guys, when you're in the playoff, aren't going to be able to win it all. What do you say to people that don't think this group is capable of taking home the trophy at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, those kind of things are kind of things Coach Freeman kind of preaches to us, is like, I mean, it doesn't really matter what other people are saying. I mean, it's all just a whole bunch of noise. It's just noise that you don't need to listen to. It's just all outside chatter. So, I mean, what really matters is just us believing in ourselves. Obviously, I mean, it's cliche to say, but I mean, as long as we are all truly bought in and know what's going to happen, and just locking into what we need to do is just way more important than listening to what other people are saying about, oh, you guys won't win, or things of that nature. So, I mean, it's just all outside noise, really. So don't really try to pay attention to it.
How about the impact that your head football coach, Marcus Freeman, has had on your career and your time at Notre Dame?
Yeah, Coach Freeman's been, has been an amazing guy to be around ever since he first stepped foot in being defense coordinator. I was on the offense side of the ball. So just him being there, you could tell he was just an amazing individual. He's really, down-to-earth guy, but just him as a coach as well. I mean, just the amount of effort and, love you can see from him as a coach is kind of what motivates me as a player, and even, the entire program. He's a true leader. And I mean, everybody just loves him as a person, and just, he's a great guy, great coach. So.
Now, I don't know if you saw this or if it gets talked about, but over the weekend, Peter Schrager was saying, hey, maybe a name to watch for the Chicago Bears job is Marcus Freeman. Would you be shocked if Coach wasn't back at Notre Dame next year?
I have no idea. I mean, obviously I know he loves Notre Dame. I don't know how those things work. I'm not part of any of those conversations. I don't know what goes on with any of that. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what Chicago Bears are thinking. I don't know. I mean, but like, he kind of preaches the future is uncertain. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, or if that's even true, but I don't know. But I know he loves Notre Dame. I don't really necessarily see him leaving, but I don't know. You never know what could happen.
Well, it's not going to be that far away until you're making plays on NFL Sundays. Just curious, when you were growing up, Xavier Watts, who were some NFL players that you really liked growing up as a kid?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed, the older guys, safeties like Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, but obviously the offense side of the ball, really like LaDainian Tomlinson, Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin was my favorite player growing up, because I grew up a Vikings fan. So just seeing Percy Harvin out there, he's a baller. So those are the type of guys I liked watching growing up.
Last thing I'll ask you, because I know how close you and your dad are, and I saw the feature that was done on him a year ago. And for people that don't know, your dad, when he was 21, was paralyzed. Just how about the influence that your dad has had on your life and the impact and really how he shaped you to be the man that we're talking to today?
Yeah, I mean, just, the experiences that he had, like you had mentioned, him being paralyzed, kind of just taught me some of the things that he went through that I didn't need to go through in life. Just him uh, having a traumatizing event like that, he kind of, kept me away from things like that, things that could put me in harm's way. He just kept me away from things like that because he didn't want me to go down the same path. So just him having that life experience kind of just set me up to, have a successful life and, just kind of taught me the ways, to avoid certain things like that.
Well, I've enjoyed the conversation today. Best of luck. We'll see who the first round opponent's going to be coming up on Sunday and continue to have a great career at Notre Dame. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There he is, Xavier Watts, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. All righty, let's update you real quickly on the poll question. Should 9-3 SEC Alabama be ranked in front of 10-2 ACC Miami? That's been the majority of this first hour. I have said yes. I have no problem whatsoever with Alabama being ranked in front of Miami. 57.2% say no. 42.8% say yes. So the majority listening audience does disagree with me. And one more point on this, because everyone's just going to say, or a lot of people are going to say, hey, well, Miami has more wins than Alabama, so therefore Alabama shouldn't be in and Miami should be in. And I understand, right? There are a Power 4 conference and there's 4 major conferences, but to be fair, there is a big difference in the SEC than compared to the ACC, and you look at the quality of wins, a la Georgia and also South Carolina for Alabama, that trumps anything that Miami does have. But if you're just going to say, oh, because Alabama has one fewer win and one more loss than Miami, then can't you just say, oh, well, the Army Black Knights should be in, right? If it's just based off that, they have 10 wins and 1 loss. And their 1 loss was to Notre Dame, who's either going to be the 5 or the 6 seed in the college football playoff. Now, I understand Army's not playing the same schedule, right, as Alabama. So that's why I'm not going to sit here and argue that. But that's been the only real argument for the Miami fan today. And I think it's been a giant waste of time. All righty, we'll take a timeout. When we come on back, is there a chance that Urban Meyer is going to return as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes? Also, we'll get Hot Take Hickey's reaction as Ryan Hickey's going to join us in studio over what some people are thinking are a screw job with Miami getting left out, Alabama be putting in last night in the college football playoff. And also, we'll get a prediction. Does Hot Take Hickey believe his Penn State Nittany Lions are going to defeat Oregon in the Big Ten championship game?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And each and every Wednesday in football season, the hot take Hickey has landed. And, of course, he joins us right now in studio. It's amazing how we get him in studio each and every week. Of course, Ryan Hickey hosts Hick at Night, which could be my favorite weekend show here on the network. Sunday nights from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can catch him throughout the week on the JR Sports Brief Extravaganza. Weekday, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 7 p.m. Pacific. And I'll be a good company guy on many of these same Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 158, and also the free Odyssey app. And Hickey's been having some problems with the YouTube stream lately. That's how I consume you.
Well,
I watch you on the YouTube stream. It feels like each and every week I do checks and balances. I help my guy out, and I go, hey, something's going wrong with your stream.
Yeah, it's always something. Keeps you on your toes. I wear many hats on Sunday nights. And yes, we had some microphone issues, some streaming issues. For the most part, it's gone off without a hitch, but there are some bumps in the road that have to be figured out once in a while.
Okay, so for the first hour, I basically was sitting here, and I just don't understand why Miami fans are upset today. I never thought Miami was going to make the bracket last night. I thought it was going to be Alabama. But even though the committee put Alabama in there, and then they, in the rankings, put Miami right after them, Ole Miss and South Carolina, if, let's say, Alabama would have lost to Auburn, I still think the committee would have bumped up either Ole Miss or South Carolina to get in front of Miami. My main point has been, sure, Miami only has 2 losses. Alabama has 3, but not all wins and losses are equal. Yes, Alabama, indefensible to lose to Oklahoma. Really bad loss to Vanderbilt as well, but their 2 best wins are Georgia and South Carolina, and those wins are better than any win that Miami has, with Miami's best win being Louisville. I know that you get annoyed with the SEC and some of the bitching from the SEC. I follow you on Twitter. I'll give you a plug, Ryan_Hickey3. But where are you at on this in terms of Alabama getting in last night and Miami being left out?
We are in lockstep, which I know is right, but I 100% agree. It's not even debatable. Like you said, like when you look at...
Do you do drugs over Thanksgiving?
No.
Oh,
no,
well, we agree.
Not.
That's crazy.
I know. You would think, but no, sir. No, I'm clean. But like you look at Alabama's entire resume, right? This is not just a last month sample size or a 6-week sample size. It's a full season sample size. That win against Georgia doesn't go away. They have 3 ranked wins. They don't just get ignored or wiped away because they lost a game to Vandy they shouldn't have or lost to Oklahoma they shouldn't have. When you look at Miami's resume, they've played a significantly worse strength of schedule, 55 compared to 17 for Alabama. They have 0 impressive wins. And by the way, no one wants to talk about this. Miami's 2 losses also came at the time to unranked teams. So you want to bash Alabama for... They were bad losses. We're not going to deny.
Yeah.
But they at least have good wins to make up for it. Miami's losses are not great, and I always hate that term, great loss, quote unquote, but that is a term used, right? They lost to 2 unranked teams. So it's not like Miami can sit around and say, oh, we lost to 2 of the best teams in the country, competed. You didn't. So there's no leg for them to stand on. Their resume stinks. There's no impressive wins. The only thing they have is 1 less loss.
Oh, you're saying at the time when they played them.
Yes.
So I was going to say Syracuse is now in the top 25.
Syracuse is in because they beat them, right? At the time, you're playing an unranked team.
Oh, Syracuse is a good team, though.
No, I'm not denying. But I'm saying, like, you want to talk about and try to knock down Alabama's losses. Again, it's not like Miami has these great losses you can look back on. And also, they should have lost 4 games. The Vatek game, horrible officiating. Cal, horrible officiating. So you skated by 2 games, you got lucky to win 2 of them, and you botched what was a very easy ACC schedule. You got nothing to complain about.
Here's my biggest thing here, is if South Carolina got put in last night, if Ole Miss got put in last night, if Miami got put in last night, or right, even Alabama who gets put in, people today are saying Miami got screwed. No one got screwed here. All those teams at one point, control their own destiny. More so Ole Miss, Alabama, and Miami. They lost.
Yeah.
And then still, after their loss, they were still able to control their own destiny once again, and they left it open for only one of those schools to go. So I don't see how... Last year, you could make a case. Florida State got screwed in a 4-team format. In a 12-team format, though, no one's getting screwed. If you can't make a 12-team format, I have no sympathy for you if you can't significantly, in a distinct way, show that you're one of the best 12 teams in college football.
I agree, which is why I'm for, and I'm glad they did it, college football playoff expansion, because I think there is a real argument in years past, team number 5 got screwed. Could Georgia have won a national title last year? Maybe. And sitting there number 5, but you don't get to compete for it because you lost 1 game. Now, right, we're talking about Miami, South Carolina, Ole Miss. Whoever, like the teams that feel quote-unquote screwed, they're not winning a national title. So you're moving the teams that upset from number 5 in the country to number 13 or 14. That to me is that's a good thing. Everyone's going to, no matter what, with college basketball, same thing. Team 69 gets upset because they make the 16-team field.
I don't
Someone's
care
always
about
going to be
those
upset,
teams.
but at least the team's upset, like the chance of them actually doing something is very minuscule compared to before. In a 14 playoff, there's a real chance the number 5 team in the country in some years could win the national title. So at least I'm with you. Like, I don't feel bad, no sympathy, and I'm glad at least now we're talking about teams that are much less deserving versus in previous years where we're talking about a one loss, or in the case of Florida State, an undefeated team not getting a chance to compete for a national title.
Now, here's what I'll be mad about, Hickey. If Clemson beats SMU,
okay,
and then the committee says we're still going to put in Alabama over SMU, then I think SMU would get screwed, because I know that it would be, 2-loss SMU. If 2-loss Miami's not getting in, why should 2-loss SMU? It's because it wasn't in the regular season.
Right.
It was in the conference championship game. I don't care if SMU loses by 3 touchdowns. I'm not saying that I fully trust the committee will not put in Alabama over SMU, but I think SMU should be in either way, regardless of what happens in this ACC championship.
Completely agree. You can't punish a team for playing a game that they were good enough to make that the other team that would benefit from their loss was not good enough to make. I'm not going to sit here and try to say that the strength of schedule or the SMU's schedule is the same as Alabama's, but the reality is they handled their business. They should not drop 3 spots behind Alabama. I'm with you, 1,000,000%. They should not. I don't think the committee, because when you hear Ward Manuel yesterday basically say, if you're not playing, you're not moving.
Job.
I actually like that.
Well,
I thought he's done a brutal job up until yesterday.
I thought the first impression, he didn't understand some of Reese Davis's questions.
Yes, he asked
and I had no clue. And you know what I would ask here to a Miami fan? If it's all about the win-losses, right? Oh, Alabama doesn't have a better record than Miami, then why doesn't BYU get in over Miami? BYU was 10-2, and one of their, and they beat SMU this year. So why doesn't BYU get in?
That's fair. Again, you can't just go based on loss total alone, especially when it's multiple or we're talking about a one-loss difference. I'm with you. We're in a lot of agreement today. This is rarefied air.
It's crazy. We're getting close to the new year, so we got to get all this agreement out right now.
I guess so.
All righty. Ryan Day, Ohio State. Can you finally publicly thank Michigan on the air for getting Penn State into the Big Ten championship game? Because you've been very critical of Michigan the last few years. It's time for you to bow down and thank Michigan for getting you guys in the Big Ten championship game.
Thank you, Michigan. Number one, I will say it, but there's a but coming. Let's be real here. I am not trying to take away anything from Michigan. They didn't win that game. Ohio State lost it. Now, to Michigan's credit, they're in Ryan Day's head, and that's why they lost the game. He coached conservative. He felt the pressure of losing 3 years in a row and was almost like, oh boy, now it's almost like it was worse than Michigan.
You can never say anything nice about Michigan.
Look how the game played out. Michigan stunk. They didn't do anything well outside of Khalil Mullings' last run. And
they still dominated the trenches, and Davis Warren got him down to the 2 and then threw the ball. You could have made that pass for a touchdown.
For an interception.
It wasn't like that was some great play by Ohio State. It was a terrible throw by Davis Warren.
Exactly. That's my point. Michigan did not do anything great in this game that said, wow, outside their defensive line,
Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant.
They were tremendous. But again, if you're Ryan Day, how do you not see that? Well, maybe the run game's not going to work. We have 3 offensive linemen that are backups for playing out of position. Maybe we should throw the ball to the 1,000,000 5-star receivers we have on the outside. He played scared, coached conservatively, played not to lose. And when you play not to lose, as someone, trust me, who loves Penn State and watched James Franklin coach a lot of his big games not to lose, what happens when you play not to lose? You end up losing.
So what did you make of the flag planting?
I have no problem with it. Michigan's in the right. NC State's in the right. Every team that did it, you won the game.
This is the most sense you've ever made.
I thought that was an awful look by Ohio State. That's actually embarrassing. You couldn't fight in the game, so now you're going to try to get some moral victory, quote unquote, by ripping their flag. That was such a bad look.
It's because they're arrogant, and Ohio State under Ryan Day are a bunch of fake tough guys.
And talk about bad luck. Ryan Day sitting there stunned.
He looked like he just saw a dead body for the first time.
Not moving, as his players are essentially just
what happened?
Anarchy. Yeah. Jack Sawyer, team captain, is basically ready to choke one of his guys out in frustration.
I like what Mason Graham, we can't say it on the air, but Mason Graham basically calling Ohio State a bunch of putty cats.
Yes. Dude, there was a lot of language. And to see Ryan Day sitting there as all that carnage is going on, doing nothing, very fitting.
How about the ultimate hero, though? The guy that got the flag back for Michigan. Did you see who it was?
No.
Sideline reporter, former Philadelphia Eagle, played for the Wolverines, friend of the show, Jason Avant. He was the guy that got the flag back.
I did not see that. Interesting.
Yeah, and he fought off 4 Ohio State nerds.
What were they going to do with the flag? Throw it out?
I don't know. But he got the flag back.
Let us see. Okay. Cool, you throw the Michigan flag out. Wow, you got them, Ohio State. Wow, you really won that one. That's just so good for Jason Avant. Good for Michigan for planting the flag. That's embarrassing.
And it's such a demoralizing loss because that Michigan team, they can't throw the ball forward.
No, was it 62 yards? I think it was the
and 2
grand
interceptions
total. I'm fascinated to see how Ohio State looks in 3 weeks. Just because, the season is, everything, I get when you're at Ohio State, I get, beating Michigan is the end-all, be-all. I would say winning a championship is more important than beating Michigan, and vice versa. And everything in terms of winning a national championship is still there for them. They're going to have, most likely, a home playoff game. I am fascinated to see how they bounce back. Now, they did it 2 years ago and almost beat Georgia, so maybe if Ryan Day did it once, he could do it again. But
now, I don't know if there is any great college football team this year. Oregon right now has been the best team.
Yes.
But I think there's just a lot of very, very, very good teams, and it's been so open. We never thought a 3-loss team was going to get in. I never thought 2 ACC teams were going to get those things are still all on the table. I never thought Boise State, when the season started, I thought they could make the playoff. I never thought they were going to be able to get a bye. So a lot of chaos has gone down. But I look at Ohio State. At the end of the Oregon game, Ryan Day and Will Howard weren't good enough. Even when they beat Penn State, I thought that was a good game for Ryan Howard, for Will Howard. But even in the Indiana win, that was defense and special teams, I thought, more so than Will Howard. So, and then in the Michigan game, the coach and the quarterback weren't good enough. So could they win a playoff game or 2? Yes. Do I think they're going to win 4 and win the national championship, even with how open it is? I would be surprised by that.
I actually think Will Howard's played better than you give him credit for. The Oregon game, look, I get the whole kneel down, but
at the end, he wasn't good enough.
Yes, but he also threw for over 300 yards. And again, you want to talk about it? I'm not going to get into the officiating with the ticky-tack, offensive PI. Anyway, The point is, I thought he played well enough. Again, save for the final kneel down. I thought the Penn State game, it was impressive. The mental toughness where you throw a pick six right away. It's 10-0. The place is jumping, and you come back down and lead them to score and win the game. And even the Indiana, he was 14 of 15 or 16 of 17 to start the game. I thought he was actually really good in the Indiana game as well. Outside of Michigan, I thought been really good. He's played a lot better than I thought he would. To be honest
and here's why Ohio State are a bunch of fugazi people with the whole Michigan thing. You see what they did to Cignetti in Indiana after they beat them on the sideline? They were fine celebrating then.
That was great. That was
stomping out the cigarette and doing all. They had no problem celebrating then.
I agree. Look, again, when you win within obviously reason, right? To the victor go the spoils here. You want to put the cigarette out. You want to put his face on the big screen, with a Google search, trash him on social media, all fine and well. But if you got to dish it, or if you dish it out, you got to take it.
Yeah.
And 1 week later, you cannot act the way they did. I'm with you. It's a bad look.
Is Ryan Day back at Ohio State next year?
Yes.
Even if they lose in the first round of the playoffs?
That's where it gets, if they lose in the first, I don't think they will. If they do,
I think he's back next year.
I don't know. Even if they lose.
Here's the thing. I think he's back next year, besides one caveat. Mike Vrabel is not going to college.
Oh, okay.
Here's the caveat.
Who's the caveat?
Urban Meyer.
He's not coming back.
I don't think he's coming back, but for 2 years I've been saying this. You're telling me if the AD calls up Urban and says, Urban, we want you to come back and coach the football team, you think his ego is going to allow him to say no?
I don't think that call will be made in the first place. I would agree with that if the call is made.
Well, then you continue to come up short.
I can't see Urban Meyer saying no. I would be surprised if that call is even made in the first place.
I would make the call. I would make the call. How much better would that be for college football if we get Urban Meyer back? It's better than Ryan Day, who is kind of letting your guy James Franklin off the hook. He wins a bunch of games, but you don't win the games that matter.
To be fair to Ryan Day, he's won every game essentially except for Michigan. I get that's what you're paid to do. I understand it. He beats everybody else.
They lost to Georgia.
And Georgia we thought was the most unbeatable team we've ever seen. They lost by 3.
Just saying.
And they were, it was a long field goal. You make the field goal, you're national champions. You're beating TCU. To be that, it's not like they went
but look at the talent that they've had. Look at the talent they've had. C.J. Stroud, they lost to Michigan. All right, you're going to blame Kyle McCord and Will Howard. Well, you have all this money. Why didn't they go get Cam Ward? I said that when the transfer portal opened. I thought they were going to get Cam Ward. Why didn't they get him?
Great question. I do not know.
All right.
He was the number 1 portal guy out there. Why they didn't? Makes no sense.
Real quickly, rapid fire here. Who wins the ACC championship game?
SMU.
Okay. I agree with you because I saw the betting odds was Alabama minus 200 before yesterday to make the playoff. Well, I think Alabama's going to get in because SMU is going to beat Clemson too.
Agreed.
So there's that. UNLV, Boise State.
Boise State.
Okay.
Ashton Genty revenge game.
Well, what's the revenge for?
Well, he got held down the first time.
Yeah, they still
Only 128 yards, but still, it was one of the worst games he played of the season.
Georgia, Texas, SEC championship.
I like
game.
Texas getting revenge. I think they beat Georgia. I do. That Georgia defense, since that game in Austin, has been nowhere near as dominant, nowhere near as consistent. You know they allowed 200 rushing yards to UMass?
I didn't. I didn't watch Georgia UMass.
And I don't blame you. I did see a highlight where UMass was up 7-0 at one point, and I will say I got a little giddy on that. But that Georgia defense is nowhere near as stout as they were in Austin. I think Texas bounces back and wins.
I saw they hired the Rutgers DC today, UMass.
They did, as they're in a head coach.
And
the program's turning around.
You know they talked to for the job as well? Joe Judge.
I did see that.
They
and
talked
Ole
to
Miss
Joe
was
Judge?
pushing hard to keep Joe Judge. So those special teams for Ole Miss going to be really good next year.
All righty. The granddaddy of them all, and it's not the Rose Bowl. But it's the granddaddy of them all for this show. Are we going to get Homer Hickey, or are we going to get talk show host Hickey? Or maybe a mixture of both?
I like to think that even when I pick Penn State, the homerism is not coming out.
You don't even know what game I'm going to ask you about.
It's objective.
We didn't even get to the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State and Arizona State. Who do you think's
That
going
is
to
the
win?
granddaddy of them all. Give me the Sun Devils. They keep rolling.
Okay.
Cam Scattaboo.
Penn State, Oregon. Now, before you answer, on Monday, Hickey said Oregon.
That's correct.
I did not talk to you about this on Tuesday. I know you well enough. And maybe you being here on Wednesday will maybe still make you say Oregon. But if you say Oregon today, by Saturday morning, Hickey will talk himself into not only Penn State winning the game, but Penn State winning by 40.
40.
So Penn State, Oregon, Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. Who wins?
The Oregon Ducks. They're the best team in college football. I can't find a weakness. No, I absolutely do. I can't find a weakness. Dylan Gabriel is great. They run the ball. They're second in Big Ten in rushing. They have great receivers on the outside, a great offensive line. They're sixth in the country in sacks. They get after the quarterback. They're top 25 in passing and rushing defense. They're top 20 in scoring offense and defense. They're well coached. I will say I love the videos that they put out on social media here. Gladiator. There was Inglorious Bastards last week. I'm afraid to see what the theme is this week. I'll be honest with you. Oregon is my national title pick preseason. I have not wavered off of that. I think they win by 10. And I think if Penn State keeps it within 10, I'll take that as a win.
How far does Penn State fall? Because if they win, they'll be the number one seed in the bracket. But how far do they fall? Because getting that 5 seed is massive.
I think they get the 5. In part because Ward Manuel said, if you're not playing, you're not moving. I don't think they're dropping down Penn State losing to the number one team in the country below Notre Dame with that loss that the Irish have. I think Penn State gets a 5 seed. But no, if they don't, let's just say, and they've put Notre Dame 5, I don't think they go below 6.
You know what? If Penn State loses, that would be their second loss of the season, correct?
That would be.
Oh, so Miami should get in over them.
Put them in. Let's go. Put the Canes at 12. Drop Penn State from 3 to out. Let's get nuts here.
Okay.
You know, if Oregon loses, put them out.
Now, I will admit I had a Hickey Hex moment, but I'm actually happy that it happened and transpired because of the fact that my team had the quarterback play really well and they lost the game. And I basically tweeted that when I put that out there. Your quarterback, I know he played well at the end, Anthony Richardson, but for 3.5 quarters, he once again looked like a social media quarterback. He had
First 2 drives of the game.
He had a Davis Warren type of stat line at one point.
Right down the field.
He had a Davis Warren type of stat line at one point. After that drive, though, where he, against a bad Patriot defense, put the ball in the end zone, you were tweeting out that you're going to look back at that moment a decade from now and say that was the turning point of Anthony Richardson's career?
He's been a different quarterback since he's been benched and has come back.
So there's no doubt a guy that you didn't believe in when at the time in the draft process. Once he got drafted, you're like, oh, that's our guy. You're now saying Anthony Richardson is the franchise quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts.
I am believing.
He will get a second contract.
Yes. I'm in on Richardson. I like what I've seen. He's now been clutch 2 out of the last 3 weeks. He's been studying maybe a little bit more. Maybe his confidence now is a little...
Jets and the Pats.
I don't want to say rattled, but maybe he's more attentive in the meetings than he was previously. And you're seeing that pay off. And by the way, not helped out by his teammates either. And that's, to me, what was the most impressive part. Not just getting the job done and scoring a touchdown, 2-point conversion. He had some big drops. He's playing behind a patchwork offensive line. Nothing was perfect, and he still made enough plays. That's what I like to see.
Dennis_Justice on Twitter.
Oh, here we go.
This is before the segment started. Is it really a question if Hot Take Hickey? I teased it. Well, we'll get Hot Take Hickey's prediction of the game. Is it really a question if Hot Take Hickey thinks Penn State will beat Oregon? He's the biggest homer in the world.
Oh, my God. What do you got to say now?
Oh, you'll end up picking Penn State before the start.
I can't change. First of all, you know
will.
me. My heels are. I am so far now dug in. I am up to my knees. I can't move. I am in. It's. I'm not even like.
Are you doing a reverse mush here though?
No. I don't know, because that doesn't work. We've talked about this. You can't intentionally, knowingly say, oh, man, I think Oregon's going to win because I hope Penn State's going to win. Everything I say, I believe in. Unfortunately, a lot of what I say has not come to fruition. But if that is the case, Penn State, let's say by a miracle, wins on Saturday, it will not be because I'm out here trying to mush the Ducks.
He could be the best weekend host that we have at the network.
Could be.
Could be. No, I don't know who else I would. Well, Carl Dukes I like a lot.
Did
you hear Desmond Howard called Carl Dukes this weekend?
No, really?
Now.
On this network?
Yeah. No, where else?
Oh, I wasn't sure if it was down. Oh, you said the weekend. Sorry. I wasn't sure his weekday show in Atlanta.
He takes a call, and the guy sounds like Desmond Howard. He goes, and he's talking Penn State. He's talking Michigan, Ohio State. He goes, is this Desmond Howard? And he wouldn't say no, and he was laughing. The guy sounded like Desmond Howard.
Wow.
Now, I have Desmond Howard's cell phone number.
That's pretty cool.
So I asked Botcher to send me the number. It wasn't a number that matched up, but it was a 631 number, and Botcher was saying the system was down. So I think Desmond Howard cold called the network over the weekend. He was driving around listening to Carl Dukes, and boom. So maybe Carl Dukes won with the weekend, and then it's you too.
That's great for Carl. That's awesome. And yeah, that would make sense. First of all, that screener's always kind of broken, so I would not trust the number just because.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to say it. Desmond Howard called the show. Good for Carl. And you know what? Good for Desmond.
Yeah.
I'd be calling every radio show, too, if I was him.
Should change your name to the Good Hickey Show. That's what I would do. Oh, by the way, last thing. I know we're really up against it. You got me in a lot of trouble.
I got you in a lot.
Amy Lawrence is livid at me because she thought I moved the chair out of the studio when I didn't touch the chair. A source told me that you were the one that moved Amy's chair out of the studio.
I moved a chair. I moved multiple chairs out of studio because there was 400, and there's still 1 million chairs in here. So, yeah, I moved the chair.
You got me in trouble. She started off her show. She was like, I never want Zach Gelb's name mentioned again on my show, and I didn't move your chair. So that was you. I want a handwritten apology to Amy.
I don't know about handwritten, but I will own up to it. And I will also say, we do not need, this is a small room. There's 20 chairs in here. I come in, and I'm like, what? There's 3 chairs over here. There's a cluster over here. I decluttered this room, and if it happened to move Amy's chair, I'm sorry.
All right. You weekend guys, you stir up all these problems here on the network.
That's what we do.
He is Ryan Hot Take Hickey. Hickey, thank you as always. We will take a break. We'll come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Eric in Indy has been holding patiently. He's next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Eric, what's shaking?
What's going on, Zach? How you doing, man?
Eric, I'm doing fantastic. What do you got for me today?
Well, first of all, I want to say, man, I appreciate you taking my call, man. I listen to you almost every day, and you get me through the day. So I was listening to you today, right, and I heard you were saying something about Alabama and about the strength of schedule with Miami. I totally agree with you. But the bone I got to pick with you is with Gentry and Travis Hunter. There's been plenty of times where I hear you pub, asking Gentry a lot, and not Travis Hunter. And you talk about strength of schedule. I mean, Travis Hunter is playing against better competition. So why you don't think he's the Heisman candidate to win it all? That's what I want to know.
Well, let's not forget that Ashton Jeanty did play Oregon, who's the number one team in the country, and he put up, I think it was 197 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So I have not been anti-Travis Hunter. I was talking about Travis Hunter 3 years ago when I had Coach Prime on the show. And Coach Prime told me then he's going to play both ways at Colorado, just like he did at Jackson State, and he's going to be looked at as one of the best players in the country. I think the Heisman's between Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter. I do. Right now, I would lean Jeanty as the award winner. I don't think that's being disrespectful.
Why, though? Why? Because when you talk about competition, right,
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter has been playing against better competition and playing both ways. So why do you think Gentry is the guy that's supposed to win the Heisman?
Because he has 2,300 yards rushing and 30 rushing touchdowns. That's why. I don't think that's inconceivable.
But you just got done saying strength of schedule, teams that you play against matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Travis Hunter is playing against better competition than the other guy, why is he not the favorite? Why is he not supposed to be the winner? He's supposed to be the clear-cut favorite. I'm not understanding why.
Because look what he did up against Oregon. This is the thing that annoys me. Just because you say one guy is going to win, it's not like you're putting down the other guy. That's been the disconnect here with the Boise State fan and the Colorado fan. But the Colorado fan, and trust me, I've seen him in my mentions when I had a tweet that did 4 million views, and like the Colorado fan saying, "Oh, well, Ashton Jeanty plays no one." Why do you guys not bring up that when he played Oregon, they beat the snot out of Oregon? In terms of Jeanty, Jeanty beat the snot out of Oregon.
He played against one game against one great, and that was at the beginning of.
Who are the great teams that Colorado's played this year?
They played way better competition than Boise State.
But who are these great teams that they've played? Who's the great team that they've played? They haven't played a team that's better than Oregon.
I mean, listen, they're not great teams. I argue. I
they lost
agree
to
with
Nebraska.
You, but they're better. But they're better teams than Boise State has been playing. Like the only thing that you brought up was Oregon when it comes to Boise State and who they played.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado didn't play Kansas State. They didn't play who else they play? Arizona. I mean Kansas. They didn't play Iowa State. These are good teams. Like they not the greatest teams alive, but they certainly better teams than what Boise.
The Colorado schedule this year is North Dakota State, Nebraska, Colorado State, Baylor, UCF, Kansas State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State.
They're still better than what Boise State is playing against.
Well,
so
Boise State also. Wait, Boise State. Hold on, Boise State. Well, they played Oregon. They've played Oregon State. I'm not saying that they have the greatest schedule in the world. I understand that. But the criteria for that has nothing to do about the criteria for who should make the college football playoff. It's the award is just who do you think is the most outstanding player in college football? Travis, let me finish. Ashton, I'll let you go. Ashton Jeanty played in every game this year. In some games, he didn't play in the second half. Travis Hunter, what he's done has been phenomenal. But Ashton Jeanty's numbers and what he did, over 2,300 yards, and he still has one more game to play, and he has 29 total touchdowns. To me, that's who I think has been the most outstanding player from start to finish, and he's been in every game.
So let me ask you this, and this is my last question. Let me ask you this. So if you think Oregon, since they played them at the beginning of the season, was their best team that they played against, do you think that Ashton Jeanty would be having the same type of yards that he had against Oregon right now?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. And you know what?
Whoa.
But what's crazy about that?
Because
Dan Lanning said he's the best back that they're going to play this year. He said that back in week 2. And see, here's the thing. Everyone knew that Ashton Jeanty was going to be really damn good this year.
Mm-hmm.
And all those teams all these big schools tried to get him. He was just one of those enigmas and the anomaly that stayed at a smaller school because he liked the coach and they got enough NIL money to him. He didn't go to the big conference.
So basically he's benefiting off Boise State with their schedule, and then Travis Hunter, he getting spewed because he's not playing good competition, but it's still better than what Boise is playing. That's why I don't understand how.
Okay, but no one's saying Travis Hunter sucks. No one's, in all likelihood, Travis Hunter's probably going to win the award. But saying that Travis Hunter should be second for the Heisman is not me saying that, Travis Hunter is some bum. I love watching Travis Hunter.
No, he should be first because what I'm saying is
that's your opinion.
Right, it is my opinion, but it's fact because if you look at the strength of schedule, their schedule is better. So I'm saying he's doing it against better competition, and he's playing both ways. So I'm not understanding why people think he's better.
Let me just ask you this question.
All right.
Who's the best player on Boise State?
He is.
Okay. Who is the best player on Colorado?
Hunter is.
Okay. Who's the most valuable player on Boise
Travis
State?
Hunter.
No.
Travis Hunter.
Who's the most valuable player on Boise State?
Ashton Gentry. He is.
Okay.
But
now hold on.
Saying,
No, wait.
Hold on. Let me.
You're
hold on,
not
let
letting me finish.
Eric.
Hold on,
let me say this.
Eric! Just listen here for a second. Who is you pot him back up? I don't want him to pot it back down. I'm good with that. Who's the most valuable player in Colorado, though?
Travis Hunter.
Nope, it's Shedeur Sanders. You know it, and I know it.
No, it's not, man. Let me listen. And this is what I'm gonna say about Ashton Gentry. You telling me that any other running back that's at Boise State couldn't do what he's doing?
No, no way.
Yes, Boise State always been a good program. They always had good players under the radar.
Eric, you can't even name another player on Boise State if I sat here and let you get 2 hours to name the whole Boise State team. Don't act like you know this Boise State roster. And you know I'm right. I'm not even going to ask you because I don't want because you seem like a nice guy. I don't want to embarrass you.
No, I could.
All right, who?
Then who? There. We're not going there.
Yeah, because you can't.
I can.
All right, go ahead. I didn't want to ask you. I didn't want to embarrass you with everyone listening. Name another player on Boise State. Name one. You can't. And we had the quarterback on this show, and you listen.
I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
I asked you a question. You can't give me an answer. Eric, I appreciate the phone call. I have no problem whatsoever if Travis Hunter wins the award. None. My personal opinion is right now I think it should be Ashton Gentry. Now, my vote isn't decided yet. I will wait until after conference championship weekend where Travis Hunter's not playing, Ashton Gentry is. And I get it. The Big 12 is better than the Mountain West. But this idea that Ashton Gentry couldn't have success in any other conference is crazy to me. The guy this year has been the most consistent player in college football. 267, 192, 127, 259, 186, 217, 128, 149, 209, 159, 169, 226. 28 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown. So just because I think Alabama should have been in over Miami, and I talk about strength of schedule doesn't apply to the Heisman Trophy. It's who do you view, and it's very ambiguous, as the most outstanding player in college football. To me, I said this all year, it's a 2-player race. Gentry and Hunter. So if I say Gentry, it's not me screwing over Hunter. And if I say Hunter, it's not me screwing over Gentry. But only one guy could be 1. And then the next guy will be 2. And let's get his name correct. It's not Gentry, it's Gentry. You know, I let it go because Eric in Indy, in Indy seemed like a nice guy. But let's not act like you've been watching all of Colorado and all of Boise State. All right? Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
Well, as Trevor Lawrence recovers from his concussion as well as the injury to his left shoulder, the Jaguars have placed their quarterback on injured reserve, likely ending his season. Micah Hyde is back in Buffalo with the Bills, signing the veteran safety to the practice squad. Bengals kicker Evan McPherson will miss a few weeks with a groin injury. They have signed Cade York to replace him. The Packers have ruled out Jair Alexander and Romeo Doubs once again ahead of tomorrow's matchup with the Lions, who won't have left tackle Taylor Decker. And the Ravens have suspended receiver Deontay Johnson for a game for conduct detrimental to the team after he refused to enter Sunday's game against the Eagles. Cade McNamara is hoping to play a 7th season of college football. He has hit the transfer portal, but the former Iowa quarterback would need the NCAA to sign off on another season. He's hoping he has eligibility left after a torn ACL a couple of years ago. The Bucs looked like they were ready for a rebuild a couple of weeks ago and have had quite a turnaround since, and go for their 2nd win in as many nights and their 8th in a row tonight when they host the Hawks. Lots of great college basketball action as top-ranked Kansas is on the road to take on Creighton and Omaha, and 2nd-ranked Auburn goes for its 8th straight to open the season against number 9 Duke. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
As the dust settles from last week's games, it's time to look at which teams are rising and which are falling.
And there's an interception.
Zach ranks his top 5 NFL and college football teams on this week's edition of Take 5, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, let's get to it. We'll start in the NFL. Take 5 Wednesday. I'll start off with the Minnesota Vikings. It looked like they were going to lose that game to the Arizona Cardinals. They come on back. I like the job Brian Flores has done this year. And you're starting to see that Minnesota offense get a little bit more healthier. So I put Minnesota at 10-2 in at number 5. 4, how the mighty have fallen. I'm putting the Kansas City Chiefs in at 4. They keep on playing sloppy games. I know they lost to Buffalo a few weeks ago, but outside of that, they've won every other game. But how they're able to win some of these games, it's mystifying to me. And the Raiders one was a new way that the Raiders created a path to lose the game that they should have won. In at number 3, I thought about putting this team at 2. I don't think Sean McDermott's getting enough credit this year. Josh Allen's playing like an MVP, passing for touchdowns, rushing for touchdowns, and even catching a touchdown, which he got credit for that on that lateral play. But I love what I'm seeing out of the Buffalo Bills right now. They're in at number 3. And if you tell me, how do you put the Bills in front of the Chiefs? Well, the Bills beat the Chiefs this year. In at number 2, they didn't even play all that great in the first half up against the Baltimore Ravens, who are a good team. And it was still good enough for the Eagles to get a victory. And the Eagles go to Baltimore. They win that game. Hey, Vic Fangio and that defense is really starting to click on all cylinders. And offensively, even when they're not at their best, they're still better than most of the rest. And Sirianni, I still don't trust him, but the guy wins a lot of games. So I put the Eagles in at number 2. And in at number 1, I know it was a little bit scary at the end up against the Bears. If you had a competent coach on the Chicago sideline, bare minimum, you're getting a game-tying field goal attempt. But that was the close game for Detroit. Most of their games haven't been close this year. They've been the most dominant team in football from start to finish. So I put the Vikings in at 5, the Chiefs in at 4, the Bills in at 3, the Eagles in at 2, and the Lions in at 1 for this week. Stu, speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right, what about the Steelers, who are 9-3 and to the top of the AFC North?
I considered the Steelers, and I looked at the Minnesota Vikings. And I said both those teams have good defenses, even though the Steelers didn't really show it up against the Cincinnati Bengals. But Joe Burrow's having a great season, even though his team stinks right now. But I think the difference is the offensive firepower for the Minnesota Vikings. I think Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson's pretty close at this stage of their career. I look at Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson now back, Aaron Jones too. I just trust that offensive firepower more with the Minnesota Vikings than I do with the Pittsburgh Steelers. George Pickens is really damn good, but he's not Justin Jefferson, and Mike Tomlin said he needs to grow up. So Steelers, very good. They're close, but I don't think they're better than Minnesota.
What about the Packers? Winners of 3 straight. They're 9-3.
It's a good one. I think Minnesota has a better defense. And also, right, Minnesota has beat Green Bay this year. I know they play again. The difference on this one for me, as much as Jordan Love is a really good quarterback, Sam Darnold, you know what he is. Obviously, Jordan Love has a higher ceiling. Sam Darnold's fine. I don't think you win because of Sam Darnold. I think you win by building a good team around Sam Darnold. But I think Sam Darnold's a safer pick. I'm not saying he's the better quarterback from a week in and week out in terms of winning games in the postseason. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to lose you the game. Jordan Love, as much as I love him, no pun intended, he's a risk taker. And there's some games where you're like, ooh, boy, those are some throws you shouldn't make. So Packers just slightly behind the Vikings for now.
And what about the only team to allow less than 200 points this season in the Chargers?
Lack of offensive firepower. Now you have Dobbins who's going to be out. The line's unbelievable. Herbert's a really good quarterback. But outside of Ladd McConkey and Justin Herbert, what do they really have from a skill position? Well, you throw Herbert out there because it's not skill position. But what do they really have from a skill position point? Defense is a heck of a defense, but you look at Minnesota, who's my 15th, they have a really good defense too. Offensively, that's where they trump the Los Angeles Chargers. All righty, let's get to college. In at number 1, I'll do it this way. Oregon's 1. I think this will surprise people. It's not going to make our friend Sully happy. I'm kind of looking ahead. Georgia already beat Texas. I think Georgia's going to beat Texas again. I got a text from Sully the other day because he's close, I think, with Steve Sarkisian. He goes, Texas is going to win it all. And he goes, I almost called you the other day, making up some name, to try to get through on the show. So you could call under any name. We'll put you through because you're silly. Let's just be real. But I put Georgia in at number 2. I don't trust Carson Beck, but I think Georgia's the better team. Texas in at 3. And then after that, after 1, you could tell the only team that's solidified in any of these power rankings is Oregon. After that in college football, you could tell me whatever you want for 2, 3, 4, 5. Personally, I went Penn State 4. Abdul Carter's really good. Tyler Warren is one of the best offensive players in the country. I don't trust James Franklin. Drew Aller is too inconsistent, but everyone's been inconsistent this year in college football. And at number 5, it's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You had Xavier Watson earlier. He could be the best defensive player in the country as long as Love is able to rebound after that little injury that he had where he left the game up against USC. They have great 1-2 punch at the running back position, and Riley Leonard has got a lot better this year. Notre Dame is on a 10-game win streak. So Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4, Notre Dame 5. Very, very much so up for debate, but that's what I go with. Stu, speak now, forever hold your peace.
All right, what about the world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes?
The world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes. What a disgraceful act by the Michigan Wolverines, planting a flag during the game after the game on the Ohio State field. You didn't have to do that. You won the game, but win with class. I don't think I'm going to get a text from Gus Johnson annoyed that I was imitating him like some others around here, but I won't even go there. Ohio State, why? Ryan Day and Will Howard. Not great. And I know that Ohio State beat Penn State, but you just lost to Michigan. And I love Michigan. But that was the game that even I didn't think Michigan could win, and you lost to them. I question that team's mental toughness.
All right, what about Tennessee, who finished the season winning 6 out of 7?
I think Tennessee could be the most dangerous team in the country that no one's talking about. Their defense is really damn good. They have a phenomenal running back, and it's just what Nico Iamaleava are you going to get? And that's the big question. That's the uncertainty. They're really, really, really good. They could go on a run, but I don't think they're a top 5 team right now.
All right, last but not least, what about SMU? They could be the number 3 seed if they take care of Clemson on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that they're a football team that they should beat Clemson. I think they should be in the college football playoff either way, but this isn't a 4-team format. It's a 12-team format. And I only got 5 spots. SMU is really good. Am I going to sit here and think that SMU is going to win? If they're the 3 seed, they get the 6-11 winner. So that would have been the winner of Alabama up against Penn State in the projection last night. Do I think that or Notre Dame, Alabama would have been. Do I think either Notre Dame or Alabama would lose to SMU? Personally, I do not. All righty, let's take 5 Wednesday, the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break, and when we come on back, I have odds on the next team, if it's not the Jets, to land Aaron Rodgers. And the top team isn't going to make somebody happy. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I am just seeing this now, so let me quickly mention it. It's from On3 Sports. So as long as they're not getting duped, then this is an actual quote from Cam Ward. Miami quarterback Cam Ward blasts the College Football Playoff Committee, takes shot at SEC. Quote, I mean, at the end of the day, them boys who in the committee or in that committee, I really doubt they watch tape or not. We're playing better defenses, in my opinion, than the SEC. Close quotes. That is from Cam Ward. I don't know about that, number one. And he said this on the ACC network. So he said, I mean, at the end of the day, them boys who in that committee, I really doubt they watch the tape or not. Ward said on the ACC network on Wednesday. I mean, you can't. I mean, we are a 10-2 team. Not saying Alabama's not a good team, which they are, but let's talk about them points. That's probably the biggest factor, I believe. You know what's ironic to me? He's talking about the defenses they play, If your defense just had a pulse, you would have won against Syracuse when you spotted them a 21-0 lead. Your defense has been horrible. You know, Miami this year reminds me a lot like USC last year, except they're just better in terms of the record. USC's defense last year was horrible. Miami's defense this year is horrible. But this idea, and oh my God, he said, we got a top 25 defense, which is actually one of the best defenses in the country, Ward said. So both sides of the ball were one of the best teams in the country. You talk about an offense who puts up points on the board left and right, whether it's passing, whether it's throwing. We've got two great running backs in the backfield, Damon Mark, so it's hard to leave that out. This Miami defense being great? What is he talking? I don't care what the stats say. What is he talking about? And I like Cam Ward. I talked to Cam Ward when he was at Washington State. He's one of the best stories in college football. But your defense is not this feared defense in the country. You have the quarterback in Cam Ward and the wide receiver in Xavier Restrepo. Those are two phenomenal football players. But Miami is not this great team. And even so, if Alabama gets put in front of Miami, there is nothing that could be said that makes it clear and obvious that Miami is better than Alabama. Because here would be my question to Cam Ward. Cam, do you think the SEC schedule and the ACC schedule are apples to apples? And he would say yes. And I would say, well, Cam, what's your best win of the season? He would say, probably Louisville. And I would say, what's Alabama's best win? And it would be Georgia, and it would be South Carolina. So if you're splitting hairs here, where one team is 10-2 and one team's 9-3, but the SEC is playing tougher competition, and their 9 wins, they have 2 victories that are better than any of the 10 wins that you have. It's not as if if Alabama had 8 wins or 7 wins, and it was a big difference. I'm not sitting here arguing for Alabama. But my whole point on the entirety of this, in a 4-team playoff, there's a chance you could get screwed. In a 12-team playoff, if you're not good enough to make it, and you're not good enough to get selected by the committee, there's nothing that you could tell me is crystal clear why you should have been in and the other team should have been out. And that goes for all of, not just Miami bitching today. That goes for South Carolina, and that goes for Ole Miss too. And even if Alabama was left out, I wouldn't want to hear them bitching either. Alabama had a chance to go. Miami had a chance to go. Ole Miss had a chance to go. And all 3 of those teams in the regular season squandered away their opportunity and left it up to a committee. They didn't make it clear and obvious. So I'm sorry, just because it's low-hanging fruit for a lot of other talk shows to just, say, oh, it's Alabama, it's their brand that they just got in. Why? Tell me why, outside of the fact that it's 10 wins compared to 9, and you examine those wins, why Alabama should have been left out and Miami should have got in. Tell me what the clear and obvious thing is. And all I'm saying is, whether it's Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, or Miami, whichever team you wanted to put into that 11th spot, I would have been fine with. There's nothing to be irate about. There's no reason why you should be throwing objects around the room today. There is no clear and obvious argument why Miami should be in. And if you're going to tell me, oh, well, they have more wins, well, then why doesn't BYU get in? Why doesn't Army get in? I'm just asking the question. So this idea that Miami got screwed last night is ridiculous. It's just simply ridiculous. The fact is that Alabama plays a tougher schedule than Miami. So if we're talking about the difference between one win when Alabama has better wins, yeah, that's why Alabama should be in. And it's to people that actually pay attention, college football, there's 4 power conferences right now. There's separation in those 4 power conferences. Most of us went into this year saying you have the 5 non-power conference champions, or the 5 conference champions, right? The highest ranked 5 conference champions. That's 5 spots. And then for the other 7 spots, Notre Dame probably gets in. And then it was probably going to be 3 SEC teams and 3 teams from the Big Ten. So why do we have this now be a discussion? Miami and Alabama and South Carolina and Ole Miss, because everyone stubbed their toe this year outside of Oregon. Everyone stubbed their toe. And the funny part here is the Miami fans will lose their minds this week over not getting put in. And then if Clemson beats SMU, you have no argument. Because then Clemson's getting in because of the format. And then SMU should go in over Alabama. So it's not, oh, Zach, just because you think the SEC is better, then that means you only pick the SEC schools. I'm telling you that if SMU loses the conference championship game, I think they should go over Alabama. I don't think I've ever had a topic in the history of my career in radio that I think has been more pointless than this one and has been this much of a waste of time that we have to listen to people today. Oh, Miami got screwed. No, they didn't. And if Miami would have got in last night, I wouldn't be saying Alabama got screwed. Ole Miss, Alabama, Miami, and South Carolina did not do enough, all four of those teams, to make it clear and obvious that they should have been in. All right? Like, if you would have looked at these rankings and you would have told me, hey, Texas didn't get in, well, no, that would have been a screw job. If you told me Penn State wouldn't have got in, that would have been a screw job. Notre Dame, that would have been a screw job. Georgia, with the way that it shaked out, that would have been a screw job. Now, if Georgia lost to Georgia Tech, Georgia wouldn't have a leg to stand on unless they won the SEC championship game. Ohio State deserves to get in. Tennessee deserves to get in. Indiana deserves to get in. There are certain schools that you knew that were deserving of getting in. And I sat here yesterday on the show, and I told you in the correct order who the 12 teams were going to be. And I nailed them right on the bracket because it wasn't tough to kind of just figure this thing out. But if you would have said, hey, Zach, Miami was 11 over Alabama, or Ole Miss was 11 over Alabama, or South Carolina was 11 over, I would not have had a gripe with it. But Alabama, yes, they lost to Oklahoma. Yes, Alabama lost, to Vanderbilt. Ole Miss lost in the swamp. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. South Carolina struggled early in the season. Heck, if they didn't blow that game to LSU, but they should have won, it was bad officiating. We're not even talking about this because South Carolina, we got in. And the same applies for Miami. You could have lost to Georgia Tech, you did, and you still controlled your own destiny. But then you lost to Syracuse after you were up 21-0. 21-0. When you had that loss, you don't deserve to go. So I don't understand why we're sitting here and why I heard it all throughout the day on the network, all throughout every other show, heard it from Booger McFarland last night, that someone got screwed here. No one got screwed here. Do I need to say it any louder? No one got screwed here. That's the point. Now, you may think one team should go over the other team and another team, but it doesn't mean that team got screwed. What I'm saying is there's 4 teams, there was one spot. You're going to have 3 teams who fan bases are going to think they got screwed. It doesn't mean they got screwed. It doesn't. And South Carolina may be the best out of those 4 teams where they're playing right now, but they lost to Georgia and Alabama. Alabama and Ole Miss. So, come on. You could contradict it every way you want. And the one thing the Miami fan has that they could stand, we got 10 wins. Well, 10 wins in the ACC compared to 9 in the SEC, when the SEC and the Big Ten are the 2 best conferences and Alabama has a higher strength of schedule, doesn't mean that you had a rite of passage to get in. You had a rite of passage if you would have won up against Syracuse when you were up 21-0. You blew it. So stop. This is the dumbest topic I've ever had to talk about in the history of my radio career. The dumbest and the most pointless one. No one got screwed. That's the word, screwed. And that's what I've heard from 7 p.m. all through the night, all through the morning, all through the afternoon, and all through the early evening now on the East Coast. Miami got screwed. Miami got screwed. No, they didn't get screwed. You have to make a decision on a committee that the standard and the criteria is ambiguous. And this idea that we thought Miami should get in over Alabama, why? Oh, well, they have one more win. Well, so if then Army beats Navy next week, even though I know the rankings come out on Sunday, they would have more wins than Miami, and they have they only have one loss. Why doesn't then Army get in? If it's, the conference that you play in doesn't matter. Stop. Okay? Just absolutely stop. This is just crazy to me. Let's go to Adrian in Maryland next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Adrian, what's happening?
What's up, Big Zach? Hey, I hear you. I hear what you're saying on it. Problem I have is, how did the committee pick Alabama out of these 4 teams? I understand. I guess it's the recentness of Miami losing to Syracuse, but Alabama it was only 2 weeks ago that they really got blown out.
Yeah, horrible loss.
Right, and I have a problem with Alabama going on the road and beating good teams, which they haven't done yet this year. And I think if they do get in the playoffs, I actually think Notre Dame is going to beat them pretty handily on the road.
Well, yeah, if that's the matchup, then we'll have to wait and see. I know that was the way that it was projected last night, 6-11 Notre Dame, Alabama. Why Alabama got in over South Carolina, I could answer that one for you. And it's because Alabama beat South Carolina. That would be what I would say. Why Alabama got in over Miami, to me, I would answer because Alabama, their 2 best wins were South Carolina and Georgia. That's better than any win Miami has on their schedule. Miami's best win was obviously Louisville. Why Alabama got in?
Interrupt you.
Yeah, just real quickly.
Let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
You saying the best wins. I understand the best wins. Okay. What about the bad loss? You see what I'm saying? Alabama has basically 2 bad losses.
They have 2 bad losses.
Vanderbilt was on the up and come, yeah, but they were getting blown out in that game, and they got blown out in Oklahoma. What's the name? Miami went to Syracuse. They lost in a dogfight, which they were up 21-0. I understand
they blew the game. That's why it's a bad loss. Syracuse is a good team. They're solid. McCord is the most passing yards, but you can't blow a 21-0 lead. You can't.
Right, I understand that, but they played Georgia Tech, which took
solid
Georgia
team
to the brink. So I don't think those losses compared to Alabama losses are the same.
No, that's fair. And then I could also say, well, Alabama lost to Tennessee. If Miami played Tennessee, with the tougher schedule, was Miami going to beat Tennessee this year? Because that's the 3rd loss. That's one of the 3 losses for Alabama.
And Zach, that's the problem I have, because now these other bowl games mean absolutely zero. They mean nothing, because we could have got maybe a Miami versus, I don't know, Ole Miss or something like that, where all the players play, and then we can see, who's the better team.
Yeah, but now you get 12 teams in. Let's be real. Even some of the New Year's 6 games last year really didn't mean anything. And it was just the 4 teams were really the only teams that I was concerned about that made the playoff. Now that you got 12 teams in, if you're going to say, the other bowl games, they didn't matter in the 4-team format, so at least you get more teams in the playoff now, and you could say that those games do matter. The thing I will say, why Alabama got in over Ole Miss, that's the tricky one. Because, their losses are to LSU and to Florida and to Kentucky. And, hey, Tennessee, you had Oklahoma, and then you had the other loss for Alabama. Vanderbilt. Thank you. Yeah, after they beat Georgia, they had the bye week in between. So it's like that's the one that I get stumped on, where it's Alabama and Ole Miss. Why the committee did that I do not know.
One thing I'm agree with you 100%. If the committee knocks SMU out of this whole thing, it would be a tragedy, because
that I agree.
They shouldn't be. They maybe fall to 9 or 10 or 11. They shouldn't fall out of it. That's just That's just nuts. Hey, and what happens?
Well, then, Adrian, you're right on that. Then that would be a screw job. Miami not getting in over Alabama isn't a screw job. SMU with one loss in the regular season getting left out because they lose a conference championship game to Clemson when all those other teams didn't have to play, then you're 100% right. That would be a screw job.
And one thing I told EJ this morning, I said all the Miami fans, I guarantee you, are rooting for Clemson just so Alabama could get knocked out of there. And everybody that hates the SEC is rooting for Clemson.
Well, you know what I would say, Adrian? Tell those Miami fans to actually show up to their games, all right? Because that stadium is too empty too many times that I'm watching Miami, if we're just being real. Well, all right, Adrian, appreciate the phone call. Sorry to cut you off there. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go to Will in Myrtle Beach next up. Will, go ahead.
Hey, buddy. Big fan of the show. I just want to talk about South Carolina. Week 3, I think it was, LSU. We got screwed big
by the
time.
officials, no question. You got screwed by the officials. It negated that pick six twice. I think twice in that game.
Twice. And Memorial, yes, that's our best player on defense besides maybe Stewart. But I don't know, man. I think it was bad. But, I mean, you're right about Ole Miss. We definitely deserved that loss. Bad loss. Alabama, close game, but they beat us. So it is what it is. I just think if we got that win, we probably would have been in.
And you know what? South Carolina, out of those 4 teams, is probably the team I'm most curious to see more out of. Now, it doesn't mean they deserve to go, and it's a game of inches, right, when you look back at that LSU game and you feel like you got screwed by the officials. But what Shane Beamer has done with South Carolina this year, the fact that we could even talk about them as a potential team that should have been a college football playoff team was very impressive because people had him fired before the year started.
100%. We've been waiting for this for a long time, brother.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it can continue. That's what I hope, because he's had some moments at South Carolina, and then it drops off a little bit. I'm a big fan of Shane Beamer. I love what Lenore Sellers doing this year. He's so fun to watch the way that he runs the football, and I absolutely love that South Carolina beat Dabo Swinney. Oh, I love it. I love it. And let me tell you, I'm becoming a huge SMU fan this week. My former American Athletic Conference quick brethren. You know, me being a Temple Owl. Congratulations to Coach Casey Keeler, the new head football coach at Temple. But, geez, I would love to see SMU beat Clemson. Already the arrogance of Dabo. Oh, you're going to be very unhappy if we get in. Oh, no one thought we were going to get here. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not going to say he's the most insufferable dude in college football because that would still be crying day. You know, James Franklin's right there, but Dabo's there. I think the 3 coaches that I think you most want to punch in the face in college football. Where do you put Brian Kelly in there too? Nah, I would still say 3 in this order: Ryan Day, James Franklin, and then Dabo Swinney. You know, at least Dabo has some championships. But man, Brian Kelly's up there too with his family. The LSU family with the Tigers. All righty. We'll take a timeout. Maybe I'll get a text from Brian Kelly for imitating his voice. All righty. When we return, what am I supposed to talk about this segment? Oh, I was supposed to talk about Aaron Rodgers' odds for his next teams. All right. We'll get to that when we come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, let's hear from Aaron Rodgers. Hey, Ayahuasca Aaron, do you want to return to the Jets next year?
Yeah, I mean, I just redid my house here in Jersey, so my goal was to play a few more years here, but we'll see. You know, I'd like to be healthy. I'd like to end on my feet, and then I'd like to play well, and I'd like to feel like I'm wanted back. If not, you know, that's, again, I will not be offended. I won't be upset. I'll be so thankful either way, whatever happens here. But, you know, I got to be healthy mentally, physically, and then there's got to be interest on both sides. And if that's not the case, then I'll look at other options. But first I'll think about whether I actually want to play or not.
Huh? Play that again? Play that one more time for me, Stu. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just redid my house here in Jersey, so my goal was to play a few more years here, but we'll see. You know, I'd like to be healthy. I'd like to end on my feet, and then I'd like to play well, and I'd like to feel like I'm wanted back. If not, you know, that's, again, I will not be offended. I won't be upset. I'll be so thankful either way, whatever happens here. But, you know, I got to be healthy mentally, physically, and then there's got to be interest on both sides. And if that's not the case, then I'll look at other options. But first, I'll think about whether I actually want to play or not.
He's gone. He's either going to retire or he's going to another team. And have you ever heard more BS, Stu, than him saying he won't be offended if the Jets want to move on from him? Like, come on. I don't have any reason to really hate Aaron Rodgers. I don't. And I don't hate him. You know, this whatever Netflix thing that's coming out that I saw the images last, it's weird. Okay? It is weird. Aaron Rodgers is a weird dude. Doesn't mean I hate him. It doesn't mean I can't stand him. But he's also disingenuous. And the idea that Aaron Rodgers is claiming he won't be annoyed if the Jets elect to move on from him, come on. This is the same dude that talks about eliminating distractions and how they have to eliminate the leak from the Jets facility, and all he does is provide distractions. So I did hear there in that clip, though, that he just redid his house, too. The Giants are plus 400. So he could leave the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, next team's odds if it's not the Jets, according to covers. Giants are at plus 400. Giants need a quarterback. They do. I'm assuming they're going to get a quarterback in the draft, but can you get Aaron Rodgers staying in the sponsored jersey and going to the New York Football Giants for a year to end his career? Wouldn't that be something? That'd be fun. Wouldn't it be? You have any interest in seeing that?
Sure. Yeah. I like it more than a few other of the other options, I would say.
Oh, we'll get to that in just a second. Is there a team that stands out to you here for Aaron Rodgers to go to? Like, that's the thing. If it's not the Jets, who's the team that's clamoring to go bring in 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career? That he would want to go there and the team would want to have him. There's not one. I'll run through all the odds right now. You want me to do it from, let's say if we do the top 10, you want to hear 1 through 10 or 10 through 1?
You go 10 to 1.
Okay, good. Now we're on the same page here. I want to save number 1 just for you. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I want to give you a large sample size here. The Cowboys at plus 1,400. They just paid Dak. That's not happening. The Bears at plus 1,200. They have Caleb Williams. The Saints at plus 1,000. Could you move on from Derek Carr and bring in Aaron Rodgers? Sure, but why? Why would Aaron want to go to New Orleans when they don't have a team that's close to competing? The Colts at plus 1,000. Oh, Anthony Richardson probably going to be their starter next year. Here's an interesting one. You have any interest? 49ers at plus 1,000. One big run. Brock, you watch Aaron Rodgers, and then you'll be our guy after 1 year. 1 year of waiting. They tried to do that with Brady a few years ago, but they couldn't get Brady to go to San Francisco.
San Francisco would be interesting because at least, like, I don't know. I mean, probably more interesting than a lot of the elements you mentioned. It's at least somewhat intriguing.
But, like, Brock Purdy has been in a Super Bowl more recently than Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't mean that Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers had good teams and they can't get the job done. At this stage of his career, I'd rather have the unknown of what the ceiling is for Brock Purdy than going all in 1 year with Aaron Rodgers. Cleveland at plus 700. They could use a quarterback. They could. But Aaron's going to want to get paid, and you're paying all this money to Deshaun Watson, whether you like it or not, so that's not going to happen. The Titans. All right, that's one. Because of Will Levis, but what are you winning at Tennessee? Nothing. Giants plus 400. They could use a quarterback, but I think they're going to draft one. The Steelers plus 400. Why would the Steelers move on from Russell Wilson right now? And then you have the Raiders at plus 300. And that's a team that he could go to. Does Devontae Adams say, hey, can I come back to the Raiders? How does that go down? Can we do an oopsie there and get traded back? Like, what the heck? All right. And the Raiders' first priority is going to be to get a quarterback in the draft. So maybe they win a game or two that they're not supposed to win. Then they put themselves out of that position to do so for Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. It's either retire or play for the Jets next year. That's what I think the options are. And then the Jets are going to have you back. And right now, I think Aaron should just retire. What's the point of doing this? The only reason why you should still be playing is to win another Super Bowl. Any of those teams that I just mentioned, San Francisco, you could win a Super Bowl. The Steelers aren't going to move on from you, and San Francisco's not going to move on. Like, none of those teams, there's not a team out there that you go, okay, they're going to want him and he could go win a Super Bowl for. There's not a team there. So what are we doing here? Now, could Aaron maybe get released, wait for an injury, then come on back? Yeah, if you want. But I think once you retire, you should just walk away. Like, I'll even say with Brady, I don't like that Brady retired, then came back. Like, come on. I know he's trying to save his marriage. I think he just gave Giselle what she wanted for a brief moment and then said, Giselle, I'm going back. You're going to go end up marrying that jiu-jitsu instructor probably anyway, or having a kid with him. So, come on. It's either retire or you stay on the Jets. And I think the Jets should want to move on, rip that Band-Aid off, and I think Aaron Rodgers should want to go to retirement. And you can still enjoy the house in New Jersey. I don't know how many people want to retire and go to and stay in New Jersey. A lot of times you retire and you go somewhere else. Like, when you retire, you going to stay in the New York, New Jersey area?
Haven't made that decision yet, but I would say doubtful.
I could see you in Florida.
I'm ready for Florida or Arizona right now.
Oh, Arizona.
Yeah, maybe San Diego, maybe Austin. Who knows?
I could see Akin in a very palatial estate in San Diego.
Are you buying?
No. That's why you worked for all these years. You got the funds.
Not really. Not yet.
What was it? You said Austin?
Austin. Everybody likes Austin, Texas.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ack with the cowboy hat?
No state tax there.
Would you let us
Hook 'em.
Would you let us come to your house to do a remote in Austin?
I don't know. Undecided. Maybe.
Fine. But not
50.
in your house. How about on the lawn?
No, I don't know. 50-50.
I feel like you're a guy, Ack, when you retire, we're never going to hear from you again.
Yeah.
I think you will not talk to a single. Maybe you wish a few people happy birthday.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think we'll hear from you again.
Ted Williams, keep going.
Yeah. What, you're going to freeze your body too?
Hey, if that brings me back, then I'm doing it.
Would you ever do like when you retire, would you ever do a part-time update? They call you during the holidays. You want to do some updates?
No, definitely not.
With
all
be
due
out.
respect, that's like old timers day.
Yeah.
You're out, you're out. See ya.
You know what we should do? Well, it was called CBS Sports Radio, but people will get the point. We should do a network old timers day. Bring back like all the names from the past.
Do we have like the MC and he started in the nighttime role from 6 to 10.
I think you'd have Chris Moore.
Yeah, there you go.
He would MC it. Chris Moore would MC it.
Welcome back, Chris Moore. Then that little organ,
Wake your ass up, Brian Jones, you knuckleheads. We bring back Brian Jones. Hey, it's Pharrell on the bench. Shake it up. Have to bring it back.
I don't know if we could field a team. I mean, we may have to do a starting 5, but,
we could fill about 4 rosters. You know how many network changes there have been since the inception?
So, BT
John
and
Feinstein
Hickey.
Would get back in?
John Feinstein, Taz and the Moose.
I think Taz would politely decline.
Probably so.
Gottlieb?
Gottlieb.
DA?
And the only other,
Scotty.
Pharrell. Yeah, and that's much more. Am I missing somebody?
Shep probably would be offended if he didn't get brought back.
Who's a Shep?
Yeah.
Well, Shep's still
he's still here.
here.
You're right.
Arguing with Pierno.
Better be careful. You get a lot of texts if you ever bring that up on the
exactly.
air. I'm trying to think. Who else did we miss? When you GL?
Yeah, I guess so.
Even though he's still in the company, but network?
Yeah. Dana Jacobson.
Yeah.
She wants nothing to do with this.
Oh, yeah. Let's get BT and Dana Jacobson in the same room. A lot of stories there. And hold on. It was quick. Very quick. But
McAfee.
There was a photo. I was on a press release. DA moves to mornings. McAfee in middays.
That's right.
Gelb does evenings. And it was the 3 of us.
I think it lasted 10 months.
I don't even think McAfee was here for 10 months.
It was very quick. Yeah, forgot about it. It's easy to forget. And I don't mean that as a slight, but it was such a quick amount of time.
Well, his problem was he just cursed too much. We ran out of dumps, so he went to Sirius. That was the problem. I met McAfee at the Super Bowl. Could not have been a nicer guy. Was very interested in my career. We talked for 30 minutes. Really good dude. But let's be real.
He ripped the sleeves off your shirt?
No. He didn't want to see my guns. But he was one of those guys that he just had to curse. And it would have been great if we could say curse all you want. But that's not the way that it goes. So,
yeah, no.
And I don't want anyone to get offended. We apologize if you were at the network and we didn't mention you.
Yeah,
we're doing this in the moment.
I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody that we might have missed, though.
Bob Husler, do some updates?
I guess. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Paul
Nanos?
Jay Berman. Paul Nanos.
Oh, Jay Berman.
Jay Berm. So
I'll say Mike Biseglia because he'll cry if I don't mention him.
Yeah, okay. It works. So, and, of course, the guy who hired us all, Eric Spitz.
Oh, yeah, Spitzy. That's right. Yeah. And we're back Chernoff, too.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe there is a lot to unwrap there. I take that back.
Maybe we should do worst host. We do superlatives. Worst host, best host, worst update anchor, best update anchor, best moment, worst moment, things like that. Oh, fun.
The best moment that
I thought you were going to go worse, Zach.
The best moment that I've had at the network was not live. When I did Ion College Football, Brian and I used to tape a segment every Saturday morning because he had to go on set.
Was this when this aired on a different station?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so we start, I just would just like to get the levels checked and things like that. I talked to Brian for half a second, whatever. And, and it happened usually with the same way that Brian and I would always, what are you bothering me for? Whatever, we just go, I got to go to a meeting soon.
You get that swine from Westville?
Yeah. And while we were doing this, the alternate studio of WFAN, we were doing it in there, the on-air studio in WFAN, the control room, didn't, for some reason, had the pot up on that mic. So you always say, be careful what you say into a microphone. You never know when it's on.
Yeah.
And these were on, and it interrupted Chris Lepresti's update.
And Brian Jones was not Tom Brenneman. He was not cursing. The one rare time he wasn't cursing.
Yes. And I'm glad I didn't say anything because, we were just,
I'm sorry, Yak. I love you, but what are you saying that's so offensive?
No, but you know what? You never know in that moment that you might say something that you're just joking around.
Like what a bleep somebody
Well,
is.
I did say at one point to Brian, because, I guess he had to go to a meeting or whatever. I said, so I said something to the extent, the meeting can wait. Who's the producer? Who do I got? And he goes, Vin DeVito. And I was like, I think he's a good guy, but I could have just said, the heck with Vin DeVito. What does he know? You run that
giant quarterback?
Something, yes. So I could have said something along those lines. That could have been misinterpreted, but
the odds would have been like plus 4,500 for you to curse. Brian Jones would have been at minus infinity.
You never freaking know.
Yeah. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. One of my favorite stories ever, Jay Berman. He's doing weekend overnights, World Series, Dodgers, Red Sox. It was that 16-inning affair.
Oh, yeah. Poor
and
guy.
The ball goes, because then they used to, little breaking news, they would tape the overnight updates from 3 to 5 on the weekends until the 6 a.m. update anchor got in. So Jace had to stay here after the time he needed to be staying here. And Muncy ended up hitting the walk-off home run. He sees the ball go to right field. He goes, hold on, we may have an ending in this game. Muncy deep to right. Oh, it's foul. And he said, too bad. I was really looking forward to going home.
Well, really there was also a time, we used to have live overnights, and then ultimately we went taped. But when we stopped doing live overnights, if something happened to the nighttime anchor, you had to stay. And there were a couple of times when either A, somebody forgot a shift, or B, suddenly, called out at the last minute. I wound up staying pretty late.
I'm not going to say who, but when free agency and the NBA used to start at 2 a.m, some guy left a little early that night.
Uh-oh.
And I think it was when Kawhi wound up on the Clippers, Stu, right? You know what I'm talking about.
It was like a Kawhi, Paul
Were you
George.
working?
No. I was up late listening. Because,
and I was doing the weekend overnight. Or maybe I was filling in for Amy, who knows. And I kept on saying, we're going to go to an update. Let me just reiterate, the biggest news of the night is whoever, it was Paul George, right, and Kawhi?
I think it was, it was like a combo.
Yeah, I was went to the Lakers to save the update person because the first story was, in baseball last night. So that's that. All righty, we'll come on back in the news brief update time. Here is the Yak Man.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, it has been a tough season for Trevor Lawrence, and it's now likely over with the Jaguars placing their quarterback on injured reserve as he deals with a concussion as well as his previously injured left shoulder. Micah Hyde wasn't sure of his football future after last year. For now, it is back in Buffalo as the veteran safety rejoins the Bills on their practice squad. Also, Jair Alexander and Romeo Doubs have been ruled out once again for the Packers ahead of their game tomorrow night against the Lions, who will not have left tackle Taylor Decker. Cade McNamara is hoping for another season of college football, which would be his 7th. The Iowa quarterback has entered the transfer portal, but would need an NCAA grant to, or I should say the NCAA to grant him a waiver. He's hoping a torn ACL in 2022 gives him another year of eligibility. The Celtics, coming off their 17th win of the season, go for number 18 tonight against the Pistons. That usually follows number 17. The defending champs coming off a win Monday in which Jaylen Brown had 29, but the big spark came from Peyton Pritchard's 25 off the bench. The Bucks are surging with 7 straight wins and look to keep it going tonight against the Hawks, and lots of great college action. North Carolina meets Alabama in a rematch of last year's NCAA Sweet 16, won by the Crimson Tide. Top-ranked Kansas on the road to face Creighton. Check.
5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
All righty, it's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Colin Philly says, Zach, are you a Flyers fan? I see there's a Gritty behind you. Now, you could submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm wearing a Ranger sweatshirt today. Now, it's not a typical Ranger sweatshirt. It's from a company. And when I got this question, I'm like, there's a Gritty behind me. What? How long has this thing been here? The Gritty mascot. I know it's probably Perloff's. Surprised it doesn't smell, honestly. Not that Perloff smells, but I feel like Perloff would have this in like a box that's been in a, well, I guess it's Gritty. It's not that old. I would say a basement for a few years. But when did he bring, have you guys noticed this thing behind my shoulder?
I think I noticed it Monday, so I think it's relatively new.
I think we have to do some studio rearrangements. Like this could probably go in the trash. And also, you know what I want to get rid of? I want to get rid of, is there a wiffle ball bat there behind you? Manny Rodriguez, he used to do this when he was working with me for a few weekends on Sunday morning football. He would sit there with the wiffle ball bat in his hands, and he would like swing it while I'm talking, which is so distracting. And I almost, because I tuned into Maggie and Pearl the other day, and I saw him with the wiffle ball bat in his hand, I want to get rid of the wiffle ball bat. It is very, very, very obnoxious, that wiffle ball bat. So maybe we get rid of the wiffle ball. They used to have that Wentz poster that we destroyed. I think it's time to destroy the Gritty, and it's time to destroy that wiffle ball bat still. There's no wiffle ball bat behind there still?
I don't see it, but I know about you're talking about it, and I feel like Manny has it hidden somewhere, if I was guessing.
He probably takes it with him anywhere. It's like a chew toy for him. That wiffle ball bat. I may or may not have texted him, you got to stop with the wiffle ball bat. If I see that wiffle ball bat again, I'm going to break it. So maybe that's why it's on the studio. Maybe he thought I was being serious. I wasn't. Would you rather have someone yawn during your show, or would you rather have someone with a wiffle ball bat during your show?
I feel like the yawning's more distracting.
You know who I think would have to get brought back if we did an Old Timers Day around here? Jack Stern. Now, I know it was short, but he made an impact. I have never seen someone get under the skin here at the network more than Jack Stern. For a guy that wasn't on the air, he just got under the skin of so many people. I think Jack Stern would have to be brought back for Old Timers Day. How great would that be? And we could have him do the yawn when he was producing Amy's show, and he yawned, and Amy was not happy that he yawned. I think that was on the air, too, if memory serves me right. So, would you want to see whatever happened to Jack? You know what? I think I'm going to be the only person in the history of this network to say it. I kind of miss Jack Stern. Should we bring Jack Stern on for
No.
Football Friday picks? Why not? you wouldn't want to hear a little Jack Stern on a Football Friday?
I think I'm good.
Okay. You weren't a fan of Jack? You weren't? You know who it was the person that couldn't stand the most? You'll never guess it.
Hickey?
Wow, you guessed it. I have never seen Hickey turn red and be mean to someone. But there was one day that Jack walked in and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And just like went to go dap up Hickey, and Hickey wanted no part of it. That's how you know you really ruffled some feathers around here. Hickey, who likes, well, actually, there's a few people Hickey doesn't like. But Hickey likes a lot of people. And I think Hickey is like the perfect judge of character. If Hickey doesn't like you, it's not that Hickey's in the wrong, it's that you're in the wrong. All righty, we'll end the show on this poll question today. So much for getting to a news brief. There was a few things I teased it and I just didn't get to. And I really wanted to get to the news brief today, but whatever. It's fine. Should a 9-3 SEC Alabama be ranked in front of 10-2 ACC Miami? 57% ended up saying no. And once again, I just don't understand this one. I get 10 is more than 9, but when you look at the quality of the wins, and I know Alabama's had some bad losses, but when you look at the quality of wins that Alabama's had, Georgia, and then also Alabama, when you look at what they were able to do this year, it's just like South Carolina, those are better than any win that Miami has. Miami's best win is Louisville. So yes, I had no problem with Alabama getting in last night. If they would have put Ole Miss in, I would have had no problem with that as well. If they would have put Miami in, I would have had no problem. With South Carolina in, I would have had no problem. But all four of those teams didn't do enough to clearly make the case and plant the flag in the ground. Don't start a fight when I say that, to say that they definitely belonged in the college football playoff. And there's still a chance Alabama could be left out. If Clemson takes care of SMU, SMU should still go. All righty, that will do it on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Xavier Watts joined us earlier. We appreciate him from the Notre Dame football team. Ryan Hickey joined us in studio as well. Samter, thank you. Stu, thank you. Samter is now mocking Manny Rodriguez, swinging a baseball bat, trying to distract me. Samter looks like he also robbed the bank today with the ski cap that he's wearing that is now over his eyes. We'll talk tomorrow, though, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Have a great night. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.